Hey everyone, and welcome to Sip Happens. Life's too short not to sip and tell, where love, travel, food, and a little bit of chaos all come together.
It's Ben and Dustin. We're partners in life, travel buddies, and occasional food critics.
And we're bringing you real stories from our 16 years together. The good, the messy, hilarious, and sometimes fucked up moments.
We'll be sharing everything from how we met to what it's like starting over in a new city, our throuple journey, our favorite eats, and the random adventures we somehow survive.
Plus, we'll be taking your story requests. So if you want the real behind the scenes scoops, you're in the right place.
We hope you've got a drink.
Because we've got one.
Sounds like it's time to get comfy. Now let's get into it. All right, so we're going to start a little bit differently instead of not today, because I feel like this episode's going to have a lot of emotions and a lot of maybe negative thoughts. So instead of a not today, we're going to start with a highlight of the week. What's yours this week?
I think mine would be, so at our new place we have like retail space under us, and the dogs love to go out and just people watch.
As do we.
That part. And check them out. But especially on Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings, they love to just go out and check everybody out. And so today I was out there watering the plants, and they were out there, and the cutest little old lady was just staring up at our balcony, and she was talking about the plants, and she was waving at the dogs, and she was waving at me, and she made her entire family stop so they could all look at our plants and dogs and all wave at me. And it just was the cutest thing. It just brought a lot of joy to my day.
I think that was super cute this morning when she was doing all that. Honestly, my biggest part this week has been hell. And I feel like a lot of people have had a crazy week.
Like literally everybody we know has been like, this week has been fucking bullshit.
Yes. And so my first one is surviving this past week because it's been insane. And then secondly, we started this new show on Netflix called The Hunting Wives. And
baby,
it was really good. I wasn't, at first, I was not super thrilled with it. But by the end of it, I was completely shocked and addicted. We started it late one night and stayed up later than we probably should have, and then finished it in the same week. And the last two episodes, if you haven't watched it, oh my God, just prepare yourself, because did not see that coming. But it's really good. It's on Netflix. If you haven't checked it out, you should. There's some graphic sexual references, like within the first 30 seconds. There's
titties.
There's tits everywhere. There's also a little peen and a little bit of it, but
it wasn't a little peen.
True, it was not a little peen, but way more tits than peen.
A lot of tits,
but it was still good and worth a watch if you need something to watch and or binge on Netflix. It's a good show.
Which brings us to our next part of what we're sipping on. Is
because I almost forgot again.
I think you call it Siduri. It's a Pinot Noir from Oregon, but it falls into the category of tits because there's a naked lady on the front of it. So
I can't.
It's pretty good. We got it at Wine Club.
It is good. So that's what we're sipping on. So I guess we should jump into the main story, and it's one you've all been waiting for. So pre-warning, it's probably going to be a little long. We talked about splitting it up and then just decided we need to get it all out. So you can split it up if you want.
It's probably going to be like The Hunting Wives, where we wanted to watch all of it in one night. So this will be up to you if you want to pause it and come back to it, or if you just want to binge it all.
All right, this is the episode I think many of you have been waiting for. And the reason why it's called We Shouldn't Be Telling You This is because there's going to be a lot to be unpacked here. This is the full Richard Daniel Caholen story, which is our previous partner, and all the drama that went down in that, I guess you could say, breakup, and just the relationship in general. So I'll let you start with how we initially started talking to him, because I think y'all had the initial interaction.
We did. So we had moved to Atlanta and we had gone out the night before to the Eagle and had quite a time. And needless to say, the next morning I was feeling rather hungover, and I just happened to be scrolling through Facebook and pop up with people you might know. And I saw this really cute guy, and his name was Daniel. And I was like, well, yeah, whatever. And so I did. And he responded, like, he added me back and responded immediately. And we just kind of hit it off. It didn't really seem like we had to work at it. He just kind of wanted to know all the things. And so we talked for most of that day. Well, really all the day. And then later in the evening, he was like, I really would like to talk to Dustin.
Which always speaks volumes when somebody starts talking to one of us and then they immediately want to talk to the other. It just always makes a huge impact.
For sure, because a lot of people like come into this and boys will come in like super hot and they'll just be like, oh, like full steam ahead, like 1,000 miles an hour, and they want like all the things and they're telling their friends and all the things, but then either they like super back off or then they're like, oh, I need to talk to somebody else, like there's somebody else involved. And I'm like, bro, you knew that. So, anyways, he wanted to start talking. So we made a group chat that night, and we were actually back at the Eagle. We went to meet a friend, and so we just really hit it off.
Who bailed? Because that's how the gays do. They always bail.
True. He another one that came in hot, and he was like, "Yeah, I want to hang out with y'all. I want to do all the things. I'm going to be one of your, really good friends in Atlanta, and I'm going to do blah blah blah." And then, yeah. So after we Ubered and all the things that got there, guess he never showed. Wah, wah. Anyways, so why don't you talk about when you came into the group chat?
So I will say that we did find out a little bit later that Daniel had been following Ben on Instagram. And so they had some interactions there back and forth, just super casual. But it's not until Facebook is when things kind of progressed, I guess. No, we were added to the group chat, or I was added to the group chat, and it, like Ben said, it seemed right. Everything fell into place. He was super easy to talk to. There was never a moment where there wasn't conversation. And then after he would get off from work, we would FaceTime for hours every single day.
Well, and I also think his communication was really great because, like, even that first time that we started the group chat, he was like I'm pretty sure his second message in the group chat was like, "I am bartending right now at like a wedding or something," and he was like,
Oh, that's right.
"Just so there may be gaps between me responding." He was like, "But that's not because I don't want to talk to y'all," and he was really good about that.
Yeah.
While we were
The big
talking long
green flag.
distance, yeah, I mean, he just yeah. So the communication there was really on point.
Yeah. So we talked for a little while, and then the resort that he was working at. So he apparently traveled around to different resorts and worked different shifts. And from what we were told, they had provided housing for them. So because he moved so often, he couldn't like sign a lease for what we were told. But so anyways, the resort that he was working at was going under construction for like 2 weeks. And he was like, I want to come visit y'all.
But also, he told us that he had lived in Atlanta before,
Yes.
and he
And
loved
he
Atlanta.
wanted to come back.
He knew the area that we lived in. He knew all the things about it. He knew the bars we went to. I mean, he really made it sound like he knew all the things. And he was like, that's my goal, is to move back there. And, I really want to make that happen.
That's a good point because that is very important. Yeah, because he was telling us about that he would love to explore more of the city, and he knew his way around here decently from living here before, and he wanted to make new memories and all the things. I mean, the boy knew what to say, that's for sure, because it just felt right from the first message and first FaceTime, because I know a lot can be misconstrued over a text message. But it's a little more difficult to do face to face, even if it's video chat. Um, and it just, everything matched up. Everything was great. It was very
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah, I mean, he would get off work and he would be like, "Hey, I am walking back to whatever space he lived in because it was all on the resort," is what we were told. And he would be like, "Give me 15 minutes and I'm going to FaceTime you guys," and say that would be like, I don't know, 9:30,
Sometimes later.
and we would FaceTime until like 2, 3 a.m.
Yeah. I
And
mean, it
usually it
was
was because his
hours,
phone died, and we would be like, "We have to work. We kind of have to go."
right? But like, it was, again, super easy. Like, it was never,
Never had to work at it.
no, there was never a moment of, what are we doing? Why we don't have anything to talk about? There's nothing we have in common. Like, everything flowed so effortlessly. It was bizarre.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we had. I wasn't sure. I'm a firm believer in everything happens for like a reason, and somebody comes in your life when you're least expecting it, and that kind of thing. And the person we've been dating before that kind of led us on and left us high and dry. So I really wasn't in a place to even be looking for anything, or like I told myself that this wasn't going to happen for a long time because I need to get established in Atlanta and do me.
It's very true, because I even told you, like, I don't even want to consider talking to anybody in that aspect until well after the beginning of the year. This was October. Um, so just needed a few months to get settled, and agree. I think everything happens for a reason. And so I thought this happened for a reason. Daniel popped up when we least expected it, and it was just effortless. So I thought that that meant something, because who gets a random friend suggestion on Facebook and then have conversation and everything just goes so smoothly and so well, if it wasn't for a reason?
No, 100%. And I mean, there were just so many things we connected on that it was just kind of wild because the whole time in my head I was like, probably really shouldn't be talking to him. That like I don't know if I'm really over the last guy, and like we had
I
moved,
definitely wasn't.
and there was just so much going on. But when there's somebody that you really don't have to work at, like why would you not be like, okay, like maybe this is karma, maybe this is the universe giving me back things that I put out there. Clearly didn't work out with the last situation, so maybe this is once again karma coming back to be like, hey, you deserve this. Um, so yeah.
So then, after we talked for a little bit, his resort was closing for 2 weeks. And so he was struggling with what to do for money and income, things to do during the day. And he was like, it's kind of slow because it's the fall, because he was in the Keys of Florida. Um, so there wasn't a whole lot going on. And he was like, why don't I just come visit y'all? Because it's either me sitting here in my place on the resort with nothing to do, or I can at least come visit and we can see where this goes.
And he could apply for jobs here because he wanted to get reestablished here, and he wanted to live here and all the things, whether it was with us or not,
Right.
is what he told us. And of course, there's always that like kind of underdog situation where you feel bad for somebody and you want them to give, like you want them to have a chance to do better. And so, of course, we talked about it and we were like, okay, well,
He had a great job there and had plenty of connections. Again, so we were told.
he seemed very established
Yeah.
in his career.
And the resort company that he worked for had places all over the United States and even outside of the United States that he had worked at. So we were like, okay, fine. Like, you can come here, see if they've got any opportunities here, whatever. Again, with or without us, it wasn't solely just to be with us. Although that's kind of what it came down to, obviously, because we ended up in a relationship. But so he came.
Also, that like just to talk more about the communication during that time when we were talking and all the things, and he wasn't here, he did great about like letting us know what he was doing during the day, of like he just wanted us to feel included in things, which I greatly appreciate. I mean, that's a lot of effort. In my
Yeah,
book, that's a super green flag if you're willing to, you know, tell us the things and check in and see how our day's going and all of that.
right. It's the little things that definitely make up the big picture, and he was great at that. He wanted
Yeah.
to know what we were doing, even if it was just we're working or sitting in a meeting or whatever. Like he was super involved. He was super engaged.
He would send pictures of whatever he was doing. If he
Yeah,
was at, like, I remember he would go to that cat coffee shop and have coffee, and he would
yeah,
send us pictures of the cats and things. And like, it's like, oh, this is cute. Like, you want to tell us about your day and you want us to be involved in your life.
yeah. Which again, super green flag because there's many people that it's like pulling teeth to just answer the question of how are you, and it's a one word response, and you can't have a conversation that way. So again, it was just everything was just effortless. I don't know, it seemed too good to be true, and maybe it was at the end of the day, because obviously everything changed because we're obviously no longer in that relationship. um, but we drove to the airport, picked him up.
And like, there's some of those feelings, like, I'm trying to find my words here. There's some situations where you like life was just so good in that moment that you wish that you could like bottle it up and save it for another day. Like, I feel like driving to the airport to pick him up was just like another level of, this was just so exciting to see, like, his life was going to change and it might make our life change. And there were just so many emotions going on, and he was so excited, and he would send us pictures from the plane and like all the things just about how excited he was to be here. And so to pull up and get out of the car and see him standing there was just a whole nother level of emotions and feelings. And like, literally, if I could have bottled up that moment to save it for any other day, I would have.
Agreed. And I mean, even though we'd FaceTime, just to actually see him
And know
in
he's real.
person, right? Like, it's just a different feeling. Obviously, it's different over text. And then you move to FaceTiming. Um, and then to actually see that person in the flesh and to be able to put your arms around them and give them a hug and introduce yourself as an actual person, it's agreed. Like, that feeling was out of this world. Like, I was a nervous wreck because this boy was flying from Florida to, and he had already been in the car. Like, the Keys is quite a ways away from Miami. So he had to get transportation to the airport and then to fly to Atlanta. And then we picked him up. And just to see him in person was, I don't know, I can't even describe it. Like you said, I wish I had those feelings that I could bottle up and use on some other days when things aren't so great.
Yeah. I mean, even riding home in the car, like, we were all nervous and didn't say a whole lot, but like, I would just catch a glimpse of him smiling at me, and it was just a really good feeling.
Well, and it's also, I feel like I've mentioned this before in a podcast, it's always another big green flag when um, the person we're talking to or whatever is sitting in the front seat, and because Ben usually sits in the back seat just to make that person feel included. Um, and just when they interact with Ben sitting in the back seat or want to sit in the back seat with Ben so that he's not sitting by himself or whatever the case may be, is again another huge green flag. So the fact that, I mean, he didn't necessarily sit back there at the time, but he would turn around or,
Oh, he did sit back there on the way home from the airport.
oh, did he?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I guess I blacked that out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was, and for me, it was super cute. I guess looking in the rearview mirror and seeing Ben's expressions on his face, and um, I don't know, it was just again one of those things to, if you could just bottle those up.
Yeah, and I think the guy before that had really wrecked me. And so I just didn't expect to have those feelings and be excited about things like that. So it was just, once again, just didn't have to work at it. Everything just seemed really good.
Agreed. Because again, I know that I wasn't completely over that person.
100.
And then Daniel popped up, and it was like, okay, maybe there is life after. I mean, I know there obviously is, but I just didn't expect it. Sorry, I feel like we're rambling all over the place, and this is probably going to be your life until we finish this because we didn't necessarily plan a whole lot. But
And this has been our life for a long time. So
right,
welcome. And I think a lot of people, like, this story is, not many people know this full story. Very, very few. Some people may know pieces of it that, we kind of were like required to tell, or we kind of felt like we should tell, or we felt comfortable to tell. But as far as the full story, not many people really do.
so we get to our apartment and go in and all the things, and of course he's like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! This is beautiful! It's everything that I've would have ever dreamed for. Like, I can't even imagine." Um, and he only had a couple bags with him because we thought he was just coming for a little bit. Um, Later, we found out he bought a one-way ticket, so he really had no plans on leaving. And to be quite honest, after we spent a couple of days together, like in person, and continued on the vibes that we had going virtually, it seemed to be okay. Like there's no problem.
Yeah, I mean, based on those vibes, I didn't want him to leave.
Yeah. Um, so we went to dinner and had some drinks, and he asked the question. He was like, I just need to know, like, where we're at, what are we doing? Like, I really like y'all. Just where are we at? And so at that point, we had the conversation of, okay, we're exclusive. Like, let's call it what it is. Like, we're in a relationship.
And we also were very honest with him and told him that, it hadn't been that all that long since the guy before him, and we weren't sure that we were completely over him.
Right. And he was like, I'm going to be there for you through everything, the good days, the bad days, the ugly days.
He was like, even if this doesn't work out for some reason, I'm going to be here.
Right.
I'm not leaving.
We should know that we've heard it all before, but in the moment, you're blinded.
Yeah, because this totally sounds like a fucked up story of 90 Day Fiance.
Right. Or what's that show with Connie Britton where he was
Dirty John.
Yes.
That's actually more of the story, but
because
this should be Dirty Nomad.
Right. Because that was his screen name was Nomad or something. I don't even know. But yeah, it was looking back on it, it's very much Dirty John. And I remember sitting watching the television and screaming at the television, being like, you dumb fucking bitch. Like, how stupid, literally, how stupid can you be? And now looking back on it, I'm like, you're actually the dumb bitch. Because I don't know. Looking back on it, it's very, very similar, I guess.
Yeah, and I think as far as the Nomad piece, I remember asking him like, why is this? What is this? What does this mean? And he was like, oh, it's just because I've traveled around from resorts and I do this and that, and it's just because I kind of travel and I pick up my life. And he was like, but it's not because I want to. I want to have roots established. I want to not have to do that. So I just Googled the definition of nomad, and it's a member of people having no permanent abode who travel from place to place to find fresh pasture for their livestock. It also says a person who does not stay in the same place, a wanderer. Okay, so just keep that in the back of your mind while this story continues.
So life is good. We're now living together with Daniel.
Life was really good, and he was always like, I don't want to have like a dating phase.
Right.
I want to go like we're in a relationship. This is full fledged. Like I don't like this is forever.
And I'm clingy, and I love that because I hate dating. I absolutely hate dating. Like, I just want to know if we're going to work, if we're not going to work. Like, I want to jump all in like head first, and that's it. So when he said that, I'm sure some of y'all are like, fuck that. That's a red flag. For me, it wasn't, because, and I don't do that with just anybody. Like, I have to have that feeling. And I did with him, and he obviously did too, because he wanted the same thing. And I was like, all right, we're on the same page. Like, I don't want to date anybody else. I want this to be forever. Um, and honestly felt that it would, because at this point, everything was absolutely amazing.
And he was very like, post my pictures, post the things, like tag me in things. Like, I don't, y'all aren't a secret. I don't want to be a secret for you, which that's a big deal because, this lifestyle, a lot of people don't want to be tagged in. I mean, there have been people that I've been madly, deeply in love with that we've dated. And I was never allowed to tag them in anything, or, it was always, we were just a dirty little secret. So once again, another huge green flag when they want all those things and he was tagging us in things and
Had told his best friend.
yeah, all the things. And we were told that he had told everybody that he worked with before about, this great life that he was going to live and be with us. And he had job connections here. And those job connections never
Remember
came through.
those, but remember those little facts of, he told his best friend, he told all of his friends at his job. Remember that. That'll come back around.
Yeah, put that little nugget to the side in your
Hope y'all
brain.
have a notepad to keep notes on, because
Right.
shit's gonna get messy.
And so this was a big adjustment for me because, I mean, we have dated someone in the past who lived with us we were in a 2-year relationship when we were in Charlotte. And, we thought that relationship would be forever. And so we did everything together. And then after that, we dated people off and on. And then, I mean, before Daniel, we were dating somebody who he may say we weren't, but we were.
It was definitely more than just hanging out as friends.
Um, and, when it was long distance. So, for those weekends, we were together, we were doing all the things, life was great. So actually sharing your space, like all of your space, that's a big deal,
Yes.
especially when it's with two people
And we had
and
just
rather
moved,
quickly.
right? Like, we had just moved. Like, we were struggling to get everything unpacked before he got there, because we didn't want the apartment to be a mess. And so it was,
Like usually when you're dating somebody, it's like, oh, let's plan a weekend getaway. So I can see how fucking messy you are and how you, leave the toilet seat up or you don't wash out the sink after you spit your toothpaste in it or,
you
like
splatter your toothpaste on the mirror.
that part. Um, so like usually you have those things, but I mean this was just like full steam ahead. Here we are. So get on board
Yeah.
or get on board.
Right. That's the only choice we had. I mean, we had other choices, but we didn't feel like we needed to have another choice, because everything was perfect. Everything was great.
Yeah, and then once again the communication continued. We would talk about things, and if something came up or someone was feeling some type of way, we would talk about that. And he was also very open and honest about that he was an overthinker, and
Which I also appreciate, because I am too. So
for
to
sure.
know where we were both coming from the same place was, again, another green flag, and that he was comfortable enough to acknowledge that he was an overthinker, because
Yeah.
a lot of us don't acknowledge that.
Well, it's hard when you have trauma from past relationships and you don't expect them to come up. You think that you've gotten over that, and then the slightest thing can bring that up, and then you're like, "Fuck, why do I feel this way?" And then you kind of like, for me, anyways, then I kind of want to lash out and act like a crazy person for a minute because I'm like, like sometimes I don't know how to get through those emotions. So it's an amazing feeling when you have two partners that you can be like, hey, this is why I'm feeling this way, and this came up from the past, and this is why I'm feeling this way, and this person did this to me, and to be able to talk it out, and then them fully understand where you're coming from. I mean, that's a great feeling to be able to talk to with one person, let alone two. I mean, that's even better.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one reason why we enjoy a throuple lifestyle, is
For
you've
sure.
got two people to bounce things off of, whether it's the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between.
But a lot of times we really have to work at that communication, and like
We
this, we
didn't.
didn't. Like we didn't at all.
It was just very natural. Everything just flowed very easily. Like, it was like the piece of the puzzle that just had been in the bottom of the box for so long, and we finally found it.
Right.
So, I mean, even from the time that we got to our apartment, he asked from the get go, he was like, I need to know how much you're paying here because I need to be a part of this. I need everything needs to be split equally. He told us his budget. We were like, that's fine. Um, and he obviously needed to find a job. So there were days that I would take off from work because he didn't have a car because he traveled for work so much. He always lived near public transportation or didn't need it. Um, and so I would drive him to interviews and we would have amazing conversation there and back. And we would talk about what went well, what didn't go well. And I mean, to the point because I'm a planner and I want the best for this guy because I'm obviously falling head over heels for him. Like I went to Target and got a little portfolio for him to put his resume in. I redid his resume. We printed it on nice paper. We did all the things. And he was like, nobody's ever done this for me. Like, it's obvious that you want the best for me. And I appreciate that more than you could ever know. So, again, the communication was there. Everything was going great. Went on several interviews. Several didn't work out, and they finally landed a job at the Melting Pot. Which, to be quite honest, I was like, okay, well, I know when I don't go to the Melting Pot because I don't enjoy that experience. I'm not paying that kind of money to cook my own food. But the manager there gave him great feedback, and with his experience, was going to be moved up very quickly in the company. So he accepted the position. We were excited because he found a job pretty quickly. Um, but then when he started, things just didn't pan out because nobody really goes to the melting pot. The only time that they were really busy and the only time he made a little bit of money was when there were shows going on at the Fox. And that was only because the melting pot did like a dinner and a show like discount or special or whatever. So you got a discount on your um, dinner if you provided proof that you had tickets to the Fox for the show that night. Um, so, but it was, he had a job. He was doing his best. It wasn't ideal, but he was still trying to make the effort. Um, to be quite honest, he still was not able to fully pay for his way. Um, but he was working towards it. He was asking for more hours. He told them that he needed something more than this, and he was promised something differently. So, at least he was putting in the effort. He was trying. So I can't fault anybody for that. I can't imagine moving and trying to find a new job and then it not turning out to be the way that you wanted it to be. Um, so I gave him grace.
And keep in mind, we were trying to find our way here also. I mean, granted, we had jobs. So, like,
Right.
I'm not saying that, but like, just trying to find a friend group and find our way and like all the things and trying to find our way around town. So, like, everybody just had, like, we had a lot going on top of this.
Yeah. Um, and I think that maybe where some of the red flags probably start playing a little bit because he didn't want us to do, he didn't want to feel excluded, which I understand. But he also worked in a position that was different from our hours. Like he would work until 9, 10 o'clock at night. Um, but he didn't necessarily want us hanging out with other gay people because he didn't want, he thought this was too good to be true and he didn't want us to find somebody else. Which that's the overthinking. And I resonated with that, I guess, because if I was in his shoes, I would probably think the same thing. Um, but we also had the conversation of we're not going to do anything without you that you wouldn't approve of and you would know everything about it. Like there's no secrets. We live together at this point. So we shared locations with each other. Um, there were no secrets. I had nothing to hide either. So there was that.
Yeah, I mean, that was another big green flag was shortly after first starting talking to him, he shared his location with
Yeah,
us.
because he
He
was
was
like,
like,
I
"I
just
want you
want
to
you to
know,
know that I'm at work. If I'm not responding, like you can see where I'm at.
I've we've dated people for a long time, but would never even barely tell us where they were, let alone share their
Share their
location
location.
and share it on their own."
Right.
I mean, hell, most people don't even want read receipts on.
Right.
Shit.
Right. And if you've got your read receipts on for me, I'll turn them on for you. They're not on for everybody, but if you have them on for me, I'll turn them on for you. Um, so life progressed. Everything was good. We celebrated his birthday. Um, all the things.
And he talked about how it was the best birthday he's ever had because nobody's ever done things like this for him. And we like both took off and made sure the day was everything he wanted it to be.
Because he also told us that his family was shit and he was disowned and his mom was a drug addict and then his brothers and sisters were drug addicts and he was the only one that was sober when his mom passed away and he had to be the one even though he was the youngest to make the decisions about her life and when to decide that it was no longer sustainable and that she needed to pass and be pulled off of all the life support. So he had a lot of trauma with that too and I can't imagine going through that with a addiction from like your family being drug addicts and then having to make that decision at a semi young age um, to decide that it's time for your mother's life to come to an end naturally and not be supported by medical devices anymore. Um, so, that's where a lot of his trauma came from too, as he told us that um, he just felt like he was abandoned on multiple levels from his mom, from his siblings because of the drug addictions. And then he had to be the one to decide what to do about the end of life for his mom. And his dad was really never in the picture. Um, so that's why he traveled because it was kind of on his own terms and he could see different parts of the world and explore different things and didn't have to worry about being tied down necessarily or someone abandoning him because it was, he kind of knew the expiration date of that with the term that he was on and he knew that he would get another contract at another resort because that's just how it worked. So it made sense. I mean, it's not the life that I want to live, but I didn't live the life that he lived in the past. So I I don't know. It seemed understandable to me.
Yeah, for sure. So he met a few of our friends that we had made, and he seemed
At
to
the
really
wine
like
shop,
them.
obviously.
He seemed to really like them, but then he didn't really want to be around them. Like he would once or twice, but then I don't know, it just seemed kind of off. Like I don't know if maybe they would ask too many questions or
Yeah,
follow up on
because
themes.
they would ask questions. I mean, we were all getting to know each other and they had met us before and now we brought this guy in and so they wanted to know about him just in general, nothing super prying.
Yeah, and so that was like the end of December. Um, and then we were actually there on New Year's Eve. And he had gotten off work, and we did have plans to have a New Year's Eve celebration on a rooftop. But then we didn't think we'd go to the wine shop, and then they invited us to stay, and we were, telling him to come, and he refused to.
Yeah, I asked the owner, who is now a really good friend of ours, I was like, hey, Daniel's going to be walking by. He's going to get off the train. Um, if y'all want us to stay, is it okay if he drops in? She was like, yeah, of course, absolutely. No problem. Not a problem at all. Please let him come in. And he was concerned because he worked at the melting pot and they had cheese and all the things that he smelled because of all the food that they prepare in the restaurant. And I mentioned that to the group and they were like, who cares? Like, we understand he's in the service industry. It's New Year's Eve. Just come have a glass of champagne or wine, whatever, and just let's celebrate the new year. And this was early. It wasn't even like close to 12. Like this was
No, this
probably
was like
9:30.
9:30. Yeah.
And so I texted him and told him that.
And that's when it began.
So then we see him not across the street, directly in front of the wine shop, walk right past, looking in the door, and just walked past.
And all of our new friends are like, "Isn't that y'all's partner?"
Yeah,
Yeah, it is,
it is.
actually. Yeah. And he refused to come in.
Yeah, so I text him. He was like, I just don't feel welcome. I just don't, that's not what we had planned. We planned on going to the rooftop and we planned on doing, having champagne here and we planned on doing blah, 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 blah. I was like, yeah, but that changed. We told you that changed. You're welcome here. Please come back. If you want to shower and then walk back, that's fine. Like whatever.
And we say walk. It was a 4-minute walk.
It was a 4-minute walk, like from door to door. So that was going down the stairs, locking the door, all the things. Like it was a super quick and easy walk. And nobody cared. Like we had been sipping on wine that evening. Nobody cared. Like he could have taken a sweatshirt off. It would have been fine. Like, but it's not what we had planned.
And this was just to stop by for a drink.
Right.
Just a glass of champagne, just
we weren't
a toast.
staying there all night. Like we weren't staying there till midnight. Everybody wanted to get home before that.
We had bought very nice bottles of champagne to do at home, and I spent hundreds of dollars on charcuterie and like all the things.
If y'all don't know, Ben loves charcuterie and he does that very well. So
I don't fuck around with that.
All out.
Because he had never had charcuterie before, is what he had said.
Allegedly.
So needless to say, after we got chewed out over text for I don't know how long, we finally walked home to then be in a arguing match until, I don't know, 2 a.m.
To the point, and we've talked about this on other episodes, Ben is usually the one that leaves because that's just how he was raised. And when things went south, his mom would leave. And so he kind of picked up on that trait. But it was to the point that I had had enough and I actually left. So I spent bringing in 2025 in the stairwell of our apartment building, a complete fucking mess, without either person that I loved or cared for.
And I was in the apartment being
screamed at.
And
I don't, like, both are terrible.
So what a way to bring in the new year.
Right. I did go up to the top of the parking garage and at least see fireworks, and I don't know that Ben ever made it out there to see any.
The only fireworks I saw were going off in the apartment.
Right. But then the next day, like, we had a conversation. He was like, I see where I was wrong. Like, it wasn't fair. Things change and y'all let me know about it. And like,
this is new to me and I've never had a healthy relationship before, so I don't know what that looks like. I'm used to trauma. And I said in that moment, we don't have a like traumatic relationship. So like, don't bring that in here, because like we can talk about things if you are feeling trauma, but like, don't make this chaotic, please, because that's not our goal. If you're having those feelings, please come and talk to us so we all can talk about it and be on the same page. We're very understanding people.
Right. And we want this to work, and communication is going to be the key to make any of this work.
So, and we get past trauma. We've been through a lot of it. Not with each other, but with other people.
Right. I mean, with
friendships, and
we've had our own traumas before, but we've worked through that.
Yeah, but not to that extent.
True.
Of like shit we've dealt with friendships and things like that.
Yeah, because some of those friendships were, that's...
Glad they were left in Charlotte.
Correct. Thank God.
Moving on. Back to the original trauma.
To this story.
So he just apologized a million times, and we talked about all of it, and he was like, I get it. He was like, I'm not going to bring, any of this into this anymore. Like, once I get these feelings, I'm going to sit down so we can talk about it and go from there. Okay, cool. So, I mean, of course, like, he brought all of it to us. He apologized. So, I mean, that's a green flag match to the red flag in my book. Like,
yeah,
he owned it.
Right. Owning it, apologizing for it, recognizing it, and saying how he was going to fix it and not have it happen again. I know actions speak louder than words, but in the moment, all you can do is take those words, because we weren't in an active argument at that point. So it would, I don't know, time would tell.
Yeah. So fast forward a little bit from that, like things were going pretty good.
Yeah, they were great.
He was
Again,
working more. He was making more money.
well, he was at Melting Pot, and then he got another opportunity. Again, I took off from work and drove him to this interview in the ghetto. And like, to the point, like, there were cameras around the building that, like, every time a car drove past, it was like, this building is under police surveillance and blah blah blah. Apparently it was a temporary space, allegedly, so we were told, for the corporate office for this new restaurant group that had recently bought out several places in the Atlanta airport. And his dream was always to work back at the airport. Just when he first moved here, there wasn't an opportunity, because he had worked at the Denver airport before, and it was great, very profitable, long hours, but it was doable. So he was super excited about this position. He actually had 2 interviews for different operations places, or places that operated restaurants and bars in the airport. We decided on one that had better benefits, because we sat down and talked about insurance and 401k and all the things, because he had never had that before. So, I mean, I'm not super knowledgeable in that, but I shared my advice and shared my opinion, and he weighed the pros and the cons, like legit, like sat down and wrote out pros and cons of each place and decided on one. And it was going to be like a month before he could start. And we were like, it's fine. Well, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Like, you're going to be making the money that you need, and honestly that we needed, because we were told things are going to be split evenly, and we wanted to go do things in our life in Atlanta. So of course we put the bill for dinners and drinks and whatever, because we were going to do it anyways, and we wanted our partner to be there. So he finally decided on this position. It was going to be at least a month before he started. At this point, we had already planned our vacation.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So let's look at the time like frame here. So, we were talking about New Year's Eve, and then things got better through January. Probably towards the end of January is when we talked about vacation,
Yeah.
probably. So he was like, I really would like to go on vacation with y'all. He was like, I really am upset about how New Year's Eve went down, and that wasn't fair to y'all. And he was like, I really think that we all should just get out of town and be able to plan a trip together. So you're like, sure, of course. We had a cruise, a very small cruise credit from said friends that we had planned something with, and then we canceled on.
Thank God. Because one of them would have gone overboard, if not both, or me or you, or
the whole
one
ship.
Of the 4 of us would have not come back off that ship if we would have gone with them.
Right.
Again, different trauma. Moving on back to this trauma.
Right. Yeah, that was trauma from 4 or 5 months before that.
Right.
Anyways, so we sat down, we booked a whole cruise. It was a Virgin cruise. It was all the things that we all wanted to do together. We had planned a trip kind of to spend time in South Beach before the cruise, and then we're going to spend time in Miami after the cruise. Just a couple days. We like to buffer.
To be specific, after the cruise.
Right, Key Biscayne. But he didn't know that at the time.
He did not.
Okay, so that was so that was mid-January. He said that he was going to be able to pay his way, all the things, because he was working more. So then he had gotten the time off approved at his job that he had. So now the time frame of what you were talking about with the interview was like early February?
Probably.
Okay, so like 2-3 weeks later.
Yeah.
But every night after we planned the cruise, like we would watch, every night when he got home from work, he would shower and he would want to watch like YouTube videos so he could plan all the things for the cruise and learn the ship about all the bars we want to go to and like all the things in Miami.
Excursions we wanted to do.
Right. We all sat down and picked out excursions, whether it was together or separate, or it was just whatever we all wanted to do. We needed to do it and live our best life. So we planned this trip.
Yeah. And he had the time off. He said that he had talked to the new place and that they were fine with it. Um, it wouldn't be a problem. He would still probably be in training, so it wouldn't be a big deal for him to get the time off, even with starting a new position. So he went and applied for his passport, allegedly, and it was a short time frame, so he was having it rushed, and so he started the new job. It was great. He was working a lot more, probably too much to be honest, because it was anywhere from 12 to 15 hours a day, depending on because it being a new company that had taken over these bars or restaurants, like they basically went through and cleaned house. So they were very short staffed, but he was okay with it overall. I mean, he was exhausted, but he was making a shit ton of money so that he could prepare to pay us back for the month's rent and dinners
And the
all
cruise,
and the
and
cruise and all the things that we had paid for.
he was
So,
going to be making so much money, he wanted to pay for our part of the cruise, is what he
right.
would tell us. So once he started working that job, we really didn't hear from him much during the day. But of course, you're working a new job, so like I understand that. I'm not
Like we would check
pressuring
his
about it.
steps and they would be like 40,000 steps a day or something
Like
ridiculous. That might be exaggerating, but like
it was
it
a
was a
lot,
lot of steps. So,
and we had his location, so we knew that he
yeah.
was in New York Concourse
A.
A, or like whatever. And when he was on breaks, he still would message us. But I mean, it wasn't like we had that communication throughout the day like we'd had before. But once again, you start a new job, so we were understanding.
Right. And I don't know what I was going to say.
Things did get a little weird though. The more and more he started working, it just was like we really didn't talk as much. But he would still tell us all the time that like he was just exhausted. But like there was, we were all there's nothing going on between all of us. Like life was great. He still had never had anything like this great, and he was so excited to be planning the future and doing all the things.
Yeah, and he just, when he came home, like super affectionate and all of that, like is wanting to be together as much as possible, even though he was exhausted. He was like, I just want to stay up a little bit longer because I haven't seen you all day. Because like he would leave, at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, because even though he didn't have to be there until 11 or 12, because it was basically an hour train ride to the airport, and then trying to get through security and everything could take an hour to an hour and a half because they've just got so many employees at the airport. Um, he had to make sure he got there, and they told him from the beginning, like, you have to be on time. Like, it's not excusable. There are thousands of people waiting for a job at the airport, so we've got plenty of people to replace you with. Um, so he went in super early just to make sure he was there, which, again, very respectable because he was taking this job very seriously. He wanted to do the right things for
Anyway,
all of us, not just for himself. He wanted
yeah.
it to make it right for our relationship.
He would tell us how great this job was, and how he was never going to leave it. How he was just so excited to have an amazing job. And I mean, I don't know. We were told it was really, really good money, is what we've been told the whole time.
Yeah, we didn't know exactly how good it was, but he said so when he worked at the Denver airport, he said that it was extremely good money, but after he started working at Atlanta and started seeing some of his sales slips at the end of the night, like it was potentially doubled of what he was making at the Denver airport. And like the Denver airport was a ridiculous salary. I mean, he was twice as busy, but he was also being quote unquote paid for it. So we were told. Um, for the work that he was putting in, and like he was in line to be head bartender because he picked up so quickly and was just went over and above anybody else that ever worked there. And again, all the things that we were super proud of with him with this new job.
Yeah, and so I mean, and there would be times too where like he, I mean, he may only get like one day off. So then that one day he'd want to go out and do things, and then he'd be like, I can't, like, I want to be able to pay for this for y'all. So just keep track of this, on your card, and I'm going to pay you back because I want to be able to buy y'all dinner and blah, blah, blah. Which, I mean, still was kind of a green flag for me that, like, you want to keep track of this
Right.
and,
He was at least making the effort. Other
right.
people didn't make the effort.
Correct. Usually people would just go up there and say it was on my tab and I would have to fit the bill with other guys. So I mean this was nice.
Right.
Um so then shortly after that there was a day where like we didn't hear from him like all day long. And it was kind of weird and he was just like I'm busy. And then he came home like super late that night and he was like, "Well, I just need to tell y'all something. I can't go on the vacation because I don't have the time off." And it was very like nonchalant, like I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Like
There's no emotions.
there's no
There's nothing.
emotion. And I was like, "What do you mean? Like we planned this, like we've done all the things." And
Like
like,
it's thousands of dollars.
right. And I mean, we had planned every piece of this vacation, all three of us together,
Right.
and like
Plane tickets, hotel stays, before and after, the
all the
cruise
things.
room, the excursions,
Right.
like everything was planned for the three of us.
We had a pet sitter lined up that we had interviewed multiple pet sitters and finally found one. And he was just like, "Yeah, I just can't go." And I remember staying there in the kitchen, and I was like in tears because like this person that I love that we planned this with just came in and literally acted like he gave zero fucks. And he was like, "I'm gonna go shower. I don't have time for this." And I was like, "What the fuck?" And you weren't even in there at the time.
I was initially, but I don't know if I took
When
the
he first
dogs.
came in, he just told me. I
Oh,
remember that because then I think maybe you were outside with the dogs, and then when you came in later, I was like, "Well, you need to tell him."
oh,
I'm pretty sure.
maybe. I don't remember. Your memory's far better than mine, so I'll believe you.
So basically, he went and showered, and then he came out and he was just like, "I feel awful." But like once again, there was no emotion. And I'm like, "Do you?" Like, I'm confused here. Like, we planned this trip, and like we had planned parts of the trip he didn't even know about. Like,
Right.
like the whole Key Biscayne part. Like he had never been anywhere like super nice like that. So I used all my Amex points to stay at the Ritz Carlton in Key Biscayne afterwards. Which, if you've never stayed at Ritz Carlton, it's it's a lot of money. A lot. Like that was a huge deal.
But I've never been treated better.
Right now, I spoiled Dustin because now everywhere we stay, he's like, they didn't
This
call
is
me by
not the
name.
Ritz.
They didn't pick up my clothes off the floor and fold them and put them away. And I'm like, well,
Which we're
sorry.
not messy people in general, but even when we travel, like we still keep our room very tidy and all that. But like they still came in and like straightened up our room and folded my underwear and things that I wouldn't expect. But now I do.
Staying at the Ritz is a whole nother level. But you better get used to the red roof inn again.
Bitch, just kill me now because I
Just kidding.
I'd be damned. Get back in your Ultima, bitch.
What's the line from White Lotus? That's how you are these days?
Oh,
At this age, you can't live an unfortunate life or something like that.
something like that.
Anyways, okay, so
But yes, that's me.
when he starts telling us this, he's just like, "I don't want to tell you," and so I remember being like super numb about all of it because I'm like, and I'm a big planner. I plan for memories. I plan for like all the things because we're not on this earth for very long and we've lost a lot of weight. Like I'm finally at the point where I could live my best life. Like this was supposed to be the vacation of vacations because like we're all living our best life. We're doing all the things together. And that's that.
And then this came up that he wasn't able to go.
And so he was like, "But y'all still need to go. Like, it's fine. I'll be fine." He was like, "But just cancel your pet sitter because I'm going to stay here."
And like we had even looked into canceling or changing the cruise or whatever, but we were at this point less than 45 days. So there was no cancellation, there was no reschedule. Like we could essentially gift the trip to somebody else. But there was no changing of anything, no canceling or anything, not for credit or anything. Like it was just,
Yeah.
you either go on it or you don't.
So like there were a few days, and this was a 2-week trip. So I mean,
Yeah.
there were a few days where we were just kind of like we still were super numb about it, and he would go to work, and we would just sit there and be like, "What do we do? Like, I don't even know. Like, I'm so confused. Like, I just don't know." And so, like Dustin said, we tried all the things. So then I would even like follow up with him, and I'm like, "You told them this before you started. Like, this isn't right. Like," and he'd be like, "Well, it's just too bad. They told me I'd lose my job."
Yeah, because apparently the HR person said that it was okay, but the actual operations manager was like, there's no way. Like, you would have to take leave of absence for that, and you haven't been here long enough to take a leave of absence. Um, so it's not possible. We even asked if he could do part of the trip, like if he could, because we already bought the flight. Like, could you come down before or after the actual cruise and meet us, or hang out with us before and then fly back?
Right.
And
Like, at least keep us game. Like, can you come down for that? It was 2 days. And he was just like, absolutely not. They won't. No. Like, he
he's like,
wouldn't even
I just
ask.
can't get PTO.
And that's when, like, I feel like that's when things took kind of a turn for me because I was just like, okay, well, like, I'm just not understanding where it was just, he was just kind of hateful about it. And I'm like, well, I don't know. But then, like, I would try and give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, okay, well, this is a trip that he helped plan with his partners and now he can't go and we can't cancel. And so, like, I know it's a lot. And, like, I was just trying to be like, okay, well, he started a new job. And so I'm trying to take all the things into consideration.
When he had also said that the reason why he was so nonchalant about it when he came home was because he had dealt with this all day and he was emotionally drained and he had already processed it, and it is what it is. But he didn't take us into consideration of how we would react to that. We didn't have all day to process this. We were supposed to process this in the 30 seconds he told us that he wasn't going on this trip.
Right. Because then he was like super mad that I was upset about it. I'm like, how do you think I'm supposed to react? Like, what do you mean? Um, and of course I knew that then this meant I was being, all the bill was going on me. Like, he wasn't going, and he kept saying, well, I can help pay. Well, I knew in that moment that that probably wasn't going to happen.
Because he still hadn't paid us for rent for the months that he had lived there beforehand, or
Right.
anything else that he told us to keep tabs on, or the phone bill that he couldn't pay and we paid for. And then finally we added him to our phone plan because it was cheaper than us paying his individual phone plan. I mean, we were having to pay for it anyway, so why not just add to our plan because it would be cheaper than paying your separate plan?
There would be
Like,
a
our life was
few,
fully engulfed together.
for sure. And there would be a few times where, like, he would get cash tips and he would come home and give me a little bit of money. Or, like, if we went out, he would be like, I can't pay for much, but let me buy this round of beers because, I got like $50 cash in tips. So, I mean, once again, effort is effort.
Right? He was at least trying, or so we thought.
Right. And so I'd be like, okay. Or there would be times where he'd be like, I know that, well, I think this was like one time he was like, I can't go to the wine bar with y'all tonight because I'm working. But he was like, here's $20 to buy y'all a bottle. So, like,
And there's one time, like, he took us
that's
to
it.
dinner. I mean, it was like Taco Tuesday, so like tacos were like $2, and he was like, "This is the budget I have for this, but I
But
want
that
to
was
make sure,
huge.
like, y'all have done enough for me. Like, I want to take y'all out to dinner, so like, this is what I can do." And we're like,
Green flag.
"Sure, absolutely, that's fine."
Right.
Like, again, you're at least trying. You're putting forth an effort.
Okay. So, sorry. That was kind of like an off
A
rant.
sidebar.
So, back to, like, him being just kind of numb from there on out. And I feel like that was just when things kind of changed a little bit. And, like, it was kind of like there would just be different versions of Daniel that you would kind of get each day. And sometimes, like, when Daniel was great, Daniel was really fucking good. Life was great. You're on a high. Like, everything's fine. But then in a quick second, things could be really, really bad. Like, really bad. And it was all, but there was always like, this is the anniversary of my mom's death, or this is, this is something with my ex, or like it was always backed up by something. So then it was like, well, okay, like,
Try to be understandable.
right. And then it turned into, like, we would start getting texts while he was at work about how we needed to cancel the trip and how it wasn't fair that we were going and he was unable to go. And we were like, we've tried to cancel the trip. This, like, we've tried to do all the things. We've literally looked at all of our options. We can't get our money back. And he was just like, well, I just don't know that it's fair that y'all go without me.
And we agreed. Like, we
And
didn't
we
want
agreed.
to.
It's
Like,
not
it's
fair.
not
But
what we wanted.
also, like, you took this job. So
And he needed this job.
he did. And then there was a moment where he was like, well, I'll just quit my job. I can always find another job. And I'm like, no,
It
like,
took you
you
long enough to
need
find this
that.
job.
Right. So then he was like, okay, well, I'm going to stay at home with the dogs. So then, like, he had kind of like accepted that. So I was like, okay. So then there was a period of time where, like, we didn't talk about the trip. Like it wasn't allowed to be brought up
Right. Like it
because
was
he would
super hush
get
hush. Like
right. He'd get super mad.
we would look at stuff during the day when he was at work or early in the evening before he got off from work because we
Right.
still needed to figure out what we were doing on the trip.
Right. And then, as many of you know, because you follow us on socials, you know that when we go on a trip, we serve looks. That's our job during the trip.
Correct.
So of course we had all the themes, all the things, all of it. And also we're still getting used to these new bodies that we have. So we've worked hard for them. So clothes would show up and we'd be like, hey, what do you think about this? And he'd be like, that's the ugliest Stefan shirt I've ever seen. And I was like, okay, well, wow, that's really sweet of you. Like, I wouldn't say that to somebody.
And then he would back it up later and be like, I just don't want other people looking at you. I know you are going on this trip and you're going to find somebody else.
And I'd be like, okay, well, that's that's nothing for you to be worried about type of stuff. And little did he know that, like, even though I know that I sound like a crazy person right now, and y'all are like, what the fuck are you doing? You should have run. I love this boy with all of my fucking heart.
100%.
So when things are bad, then things are bad together. And when things are good, then things are good for all of us. Or, like if you're having a bad day, then I'm going to be there and I'm going to pick up the things that you're lacking to put into this relationship. And I'm going to give extra that day because there's going to be a day where you need to give extra because I can't give that. So there wasn't any time in any of this. And I was like, things aren't great. So we need to, think about anything else. This was like, no, we just need to get past this trip because he's stressed about that. He's stressed about his new job. I love him. He loves me. And he would tell us all the time how much he loved us and how he loved what we've created and how he wasn't going anywhere. I mean, that was just a normal thing he would talk about. Am I wrong?
No, he would always like reassure us. He was like, I know the situation is not ideal for any of us, but I don't love you any less. Like, I'm not going anywhere. Well, there'll be many trips ahead of us. Like,
and it was always when things would be like bad, then when like if we didn't really talk much throughout that day or whatever, or like he had a moment of, where we got an argument or things, then the next day we would get super long texts about how he loved us and he can't imagine his life without us and like all the things. So why would I think that this isn't the case?
So when we were going on the trip, we told him, we were like, the only thing we ask for is to just not make us feel guilty.
Also, this trip, it just so happened we were going to South Beach. This was in March. We were going to South Beach for 2 days. And then the day that we boarded the cruise was my birthday. My birthday is a very big deal to me. Growing up, I had to share the birthday with someone that my sister dated who lied. And it wasn't even his fucking birthday. All the years I had to share it. So he can eat shit and go on for the rest of his life. And then my sister married a guy who also had my birthday. So it was always like, oh, Ben, we need to celebrate for them. You'll get it next year. Okay, well, that wasn't the case. So also, I had a lot of brothers and sisters. We didn't have a lot of money. So now my birthday is a big fucking deal. It's the one day the world can revolve around me, and it's going to. Now, granted, most years of my birthday, I go to Starbucks, I go to Target, and I spend the rest of the day doing what I want to do. When I go to Target, I walk down every single fucking aisle, and I buy the dumbest shit that I want to buy. So when I say the world revolves around me, I'm just saying it's whatever I want to do. I feel like that's probably just the one day of the year that I actually put myself first and not everybody else. So, like, I don't know. I just thought it was cool that we would be boarding on my birthday and all the things. We've dated people in the past who have made it out as their job to ruin my birthday because they knew it was a big deal to me. So I just wanted this birthday to be really good.
And we were going on a cruise.
Right. Like I was going to wake up the morning of my birthday in South Beach and like, what's better than that? Leaving Miami on a Virgin cruise for 9 days.
Yes.
Like, hello. How can you be mad about that? So when we would talk about going on the cruise and he would say, you're going to meet other guys. They're going to want you. You're going to forget about me, yada, yada, yada. And I'd be like, please stop. That's not the case. I'm not looking for any of that. Just please remember that I don't know how much service I'm going to have. So I will text you. You will hear from me. But I can't guarantee that I'm going to text you all day long every day. There have been, like, besides the Daniel stuff, there was a lot of stuff going on in my life. There was a lot of family drama. There was a lot of friend drama. We had just left Charlotte. There was still drama in Charlotte that was not wrapped up. And we were trying to find our life here. So like Daniel was just a piece of my life at that time. Like I'm not discrediting him or anything, but I just mean there was just a lot going on. So there would be multiple times where I would just tell him, I need a break from all of this. Remember, I'm going to be on vacation, but you are still going to hear from me. I love you. That doesn't change anything. Just know we can't talk all day long, but I would do everything I could to be like, hey, we're going here. So I'm going to be silent for a little while, but I'll message you. Am I wrong?
No.
So he knew all of that going into the cruise. What he didn't know is the whole point in Key Biscayne was we had got him a promise ring that we were going to give him there. And that was the whole point in the Key Biscayne piece. That was the whole point in going to the Ritz-Carlton. Because we had all talked about it, and he talked about how he struggled with the fact that we were married and that he wanted some type of piece showing that we all were committed. So like that was all in the plan. But then of course he couldn't go. And so that really put a big damper in the plan. But then we were like, okay, well, so we had made other plans for him for us to try and celebrate. And so like we took a day off before we left so we all could spend the day together and try and do all the things. Cohen also had a major issue where we thought we might lose him. So that was just a whole nother piece of like the week leading up to the trip was we didn't know if he was still going to be here. And then if he was sick and needed surgery, we're leaving town to live our best life. So then that was like a whole thing of like, maybe this is another sign that we shouldn't go on the trip. But once again, this was to the point where we couldn't cancel it.
It's true. Sorry, I just got. This is a lot. And I know it would be. So, anyways, like we were doing everything we could to enjoy this trip without the person that we cared for and loved.
So are you saying we're already on the trip at this point or?
Yeah, we're
Okay, so let's back it up for just a few minutes. So the day before we left on the trip, we took off the day. We spent time with him. We all got dressed up. We went out to a nice dinner. There were multiple times throughout this day that he told me he would get really, really upset, and he would say, "What am I going to do if I never get to see you again?" And I would be like, "What the fuck are you talking about? You have no reason to think that. And I'm not going anywhere." And that's like in my mind, that was just kind of like bizarre. Like, why would you even say that? But he would get like super upset about it. And I was like, we're going to go to dinner. We're going to have a good time. And he was just like, I just can't be not with y'all for that long. And I'm like, I know it seems like a long time. You're going to work like every day. And then, we're going to talk. We had bought the upgraded Wi-Fi package to FaceTime. So like all the things, like we're still going to talk. It's going to be like we're here, but we're just not going to sleep beside each other every night. And so we went to Southbound for dinner that night. We actually ran into friends who saw us there.
Yeah.
And we had a really good dinner. And then his favorite movie was Wicked. And we had to listen to the Wicked soundtrack every day of our fucking lives forever.
Every fucking day.
He would watch it every day also. So I had bought Wicked Monopoly because it was something he really, really wanted. I was surprised him with that. We went home. We had a game night. When we were picking out game pieces, he couldn't decide which one he wanted. And so Dustin and I talked about it earlier. And so I went and got the ring that I got for him. And we both had the same ring. And I said, how about you use this game piece? And he really wasn't that excited about it. Not like I thought he would be.
He did get really emotional. But I don't know. Like, it wasn't the excitement. He never posted anything about it on Facebook, which was kind of weird because from the time he got here, he wanted to be posted on Facebook. He wanted to be tagged. He changed his relationship status, like all the things, but he never did anything about this ring. I mean, like he was emotional in the moment with us, but like it wasn't the excitement that I expected, I guess.
Because he had talked about it for months about how we really needed this. And so I got us like a matching piece of jewelry, but it wasn't a ring. Just so we all had like, that bond piece of moment, whatever. Um, because I wasn't just going to give somebody a ring after not that long. It's not, But anyways, so that night we played the games and all that. And we spent time together. And we had a really good night together.
Yeah.
And then the next morning we had an Uber scheduled to pick us up at 4 a.m. because we had to go all the way to the airport. We were not riding the MARTA that early in the morning.
Especially with all my luggage, because y'all know I'm an overpacker and I had looks to give.
And there were a lot of suitcases, as you all know. So, needless to say, that morning when we got up and I hugged him goodbye, he was crying really bad, and he just said, he whispered in my ear again. He said, "What if I never see you again?" And I said, "That's not the case. You're going to see me in every day while I'm gone, and then we'll be back here and we'll be in each other's arms again soon." And we said we loved each other, and we left.
So while we were on the trip, again, we had told him, like, I know this is not ideal. It's not going to be the same, but just don't make us feel guilty, more guilty than we already are about being on this trip.
And before we were even to South Beach, we were already being made feel guilty about everything.
Yeah. And like he would just be super quiet or would be super angry. And he was like, "I'm sorry, I'm just not going to talk because all I do is make y'all upset and I'm not trying to ruin your vacation." Like, you're not, like, you're okay to talk, but again, just don't make us feel guilty. And it
would be, "How do you think I feel because you're posting pictures everywhere you go?" Yeah, that's what I do on vacation.
right.
Also, I post a lot of my life. I mean, there are things that are private in my life, but most people that follow me on social media,
They probably think that we're best
they think
friends
we're best
because
friends, right?
if it's not posted on social media, then it didn't happen.
I mean, especially when it comes to food. Y'all might worry I didn't eat,
Right.
but I go up and down with that. There are times I post everything, and there are times I post nothing. So it just depends on how my day is. I don't know. But all that to say, he would get really upset about that.
Yeah. And there would be some days where it was like super bad. And then it was just the hot and cold again. And that's where, like, I really wonder about, like, looking back on it, if it was at least bipolar, if not multiple personality disorder, like, honest to God. Because it would be like
Highest of the high and
lowest
of
of the low.
But then, like, snap of the fingers, and then we're like,
and it could change.
Right.
So we go on about this for most of the trip. Do we just want to skip to?
Okay, so then we.
Sorry, Ben has a better memory than me, and I've tried to block out as much of this as possible. I wish we would have recorded this earlier, and we didn't because I didn't want to talk about it, but I feel like it needed to be talked about. So sorry, I'm relying on Ben's memory for a lot of things.
So there would be a couple days that we would, on my birthday, he really didn't act like it was like a big deal at all. He was just like, "Happy birthday," like whatever. And then there were multiple times throughout the day he made me feel guilty when we were in South Beach, which was pretty upsetting. But then we got on the cruise, and I mean, I would snap him and be like, "I wish you were here," all the things. And I was
And that was always turned around, though.
Right. That was, "Well, you're trying to make me feel guilty and you're trying to show my face." I'm like, "No, I just want you to know that, like, we planned this meal together. Like, we booked this reservation to eat here. I know you were excited about it."
And every fucking thing on this trip, we were reminded that he wasn't there because everything was a reservation for 3.
And then they would say, "Where's Richard?" And we're like, he's not here." And so it was like all the time like that. And so we FaceTimed a couple times, and I mean, he wasn't in the best of headspace, but there were some issues at work where he would say that they didn't need him, and he had stayed home. And we were like, "Well, that's weird because you're supposed to work like every day."
Right. Like, there was one time where, like, they had hired a new bartender, but she was doing really well. So, like, he was training her, and then they didn't need both of them there because she was doing so well. So he got sent home early. And then there was another day that supposedly they had a water leak or the water line break or something, and they were closed for like 2 days. And then he was sick one day too. Before all of
Yeah.
that, he was sick, and he equated it to that he had been working like 5 or 6 days in a row, like 12 to 15 hours a day, which I get, like that's tiring, and that can be a health concern, and our bodies will shut down if we don't give them the rest that we need. So like it was understandable, but then it was like, oh well, they also gave me the next day off and the day after that just to make sure I was fully recovered and be able to come back to work.
And then there was one day where he was feeling better and he wanted to FaceTime. And we had just got back from some excursion. And so we were like, sure, whatever. So we're FaceTiming and he had gone to the Beltline. And he was out having drinks and he was just on like cloud nine, talking about how great life was and how he had been looking at houses and how we needed to look at buying a house together because we're in it to win it, and that life's gonna be really, really great and all the things. And I'm like, okay, well, yes, I'm thinking to myself, yesterday you were like down in the dumps, and today now this, and I'm like, okay. And he was just like, no, this is great. You know, this is our future. And I'm like, wow, okay, like things are really turning around. Like you're in a much better headspace. And he was like, I'm going to be making so much more money, yada, yada, yada. So we FaceTime for quite some time that
It
day.
was a long time.
And then he was like, all right, well, my phone's dying, so I need to let you go because I'm going to have to get Uber, blah, blah. So then later that night, we were at dinner and he texted and he was just like, hey, some girls that I used to work with want to go out and they want me to go. And I was like, well, you've been sick for days. So, like, I'm just concerned about your health.
And just don't overdo it.
And he was like, no, it's fine. He was like, I'm just going to go out and meet them for a drink, whatever. And so, also, the whole time we were on this cruise, we couldn't see his actual location.
Because we were in the middle of the ocean.
Right. So, it wouldn't allow that. So, so that night he was out, and it was probably like 11:30, maybe.
I think it was a little early. I think it was like 10:30.
Okay, so like 10:30, he texted and was like, "Hey, just to let y'all know," he was like, "I am headed home. I've been out with the girls. I'm gonna let the dogs out."
Yeah, he was getting on the MARTA.
So we're like, "Okay, cool." And we're like, "Thanks for letting us know. Please let us know when you get home because we could see alerts for like the door lock and things like that."
And he told us too, like his phone, like battery was so low on his phone, so like he was like may not text as much because he needed to make sure he'd get back into the apartment building and all the things. But he would let us know when he gets home.
Yeah, and so he had been out in Midtown, is what we were told. So then, like 11:30, we're like, "Oh God, this is weird. We haven't heard from him." And we're checking the door lock, nothing. So we're texting, nothing. So then 12:30, nothing.
Nothing.
And then 1:30,
Still
nothing.
nothing.
And so at this point, I'm worried that he's like, been beat up on the MARTA and like you're dead in a ditch. And like, we didn't know a whole lot of people in Atlanta then to be like, well, I mean, we knew people, but I didn't have contacts where I could be like, hey, girl, can you go check, I don't know, every stop on the fucking MARTA to see if my boyfriend's dead in a ditch? Because he won't respond to me. So we were like freaking out, and we really didn't know many of his friends. And so there was one friend that he had mentioned, and I knew she had his location. So I found her on Instagram. I messaged her and I was like, hey, girl, sorry to bother you. We are in the middle of the ocean, and I've not heard from Daniel in like 3-4 hours. He said he was on the way home. I know you have his location. I'm just really, really worried, and I need your help. And of course, I'm not friends with her, so she didn't see my message right away. So I'm going to get it. And so finally, like an hour later, we finally get a text, and he's like, "Hey,
It
I'm
was
on the way
like
home."
3 a.m. or something.
And we're like, "Where have you been?" He was like, "Sorry, I just didn't check my phone." Now, keep in mind, this whole entire trip, if I didn't check my phone and I didn't text back within, whatever time frame he thought I should, then I got in super trouble, and I was the bad guy. But like, you can go out,
And he always checked his phone.
right? You can go out and say that you were on your way home, but like now this, and
And if he stayed out, like that was fine.
yeah, but
You
just tell
just
somebody.
told us that you were on your way home. So then 4 hours later and you're not home.
Right.
It was a huge concern for us.
So now that was like 3 a.m. So then we had to stay up until like 4 a.m. to make sure he's home. He's let the dogs out. He's done all the things. I don't know how intoxicated he is. When he drank, he
He
drank.
drank.
It was not like hey, I'm gonna have a couple glasses of wine and socialize. It was like I'm chugging until I don't have to
Like
think
he
about
would, his
anything.
drink was tequila, and like he would drink tequila like it was water.
Correct.
Like I can't drink a glass of wine or any other drink, and for that matter, like as quickly as he downed a very strong tequila drink.
So, I mean, of course, this was worrisome. Like, you're on your way home at, 3, 4 a.m., and then you have to let the dogs out, and like you're by yourself, and like all the things.
Well, and
Um,
also pause back to the drinking for a second. Like he also like after like New Year's, like he said that he was gonna cut back on drinking because that seemed to be some of the problem, and we were like, yeah, because you drink to get like fucking wasted, not even like buzzed or drunk, like fucking wasted.
yeah,
So
but
he hadn't drank in quite
no,
a while. I mean, heavily, anyways. Like he would have a
yeah.
drink or two, but like he would cut himself off.
And there would be times where he would drink tequila earlier on and he would get really drunk. And I remember he would tell me, like, you don't know who I am. You don't understand me. And I'd be like, I do know you. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, you live here.
And he would be like, you don't know the real me. And I'd be like, okay, well, you need to explain to me. And he'd be like, I can't. And then the next day I'd be like, hey, I don't know if you remember this. I know you were pretty drunk last night, but like you kept saying this and I'm worried. And he was like, that was just the tequila. Don't stress on that. I'd be like, okay, sorry. Like, what was I supposed to do? So basically, the next day, he finally woke up at like 2 o'clock, and we got all these apology texts, and he was like, "I'm sorry, I'll do better." Yada yada yada. And we were like, "We know it's just super concerning." And I mean, I brought up to him like, "Well, I'm concerned because you've given me a really hard time, and now you did this, but like you act like it's fine." And he was just like, "I'm sorry, I know, and you don't have to worry about it again."
So we let it go.
Yeah. So we're like, okay, whatever. And so things kind of got spotty from then on out. And once again, we were gone for 2 weeks. He's watching the dogs. But every day it was like another excuse as to why he didn't go into work that day. And like every
He
day.
was sick, the bartender, the water line break.
Right. And we're like, this is weird. Like, what do you mean? But every day he was like, don't worry, I'm going to get my check soon. I'm going to pay you all back.
Yeah, like we had several conversations over the like course of the trip. Like,
FaceTimes.
yeah, like and he was like, "Oh, I'm by the time you get back, like I just need to know the total balance so I can like make things right and then we can move forward going like taking care of things equally." And
Right. Once again,
so
effort.
right, so we're like, "Okay, we know that you're like while we were gone, he was getting his first paycheck from the airport." So we're like, "Okay, you're saying you're making really good money based off of the sales at the end of the night. Like, I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
you're telling me that you're gonna pay us back for all the things."
And then the next 5 minutes, it would turn around into we're bad guys because we're living our best life and we're on vacation and we're rubbing it in his face. And it's
Because
not
we
fair
probably
because
sent a
he's
message that said we missed you, or we're at
right.
this
Wish you were
Mexican
here.
restaurant and he loved Mexican and he
Right.
would really enjoy it. And that was just us rubbing it in his face that we were on vacation and he was stuck at home.
So there'd be multiple times where I'd be like, what do you want from me? Like, how, like, clearly what I'm doing is not right. So let me know how to communicate with you. Tell me what you want to hear from me. Do you want to know I miss you? Do you want to know that I wish you were here? Like, I'm just trying to make the best of this situation, and I'm really not sure how. And it was always, you're not doing anything wrong. Okay, well,
You're making us feel like we are.
right. So then that starts falling over into the trip. So then Dustin and I are arguing multiple days because, like, then he's getting on my case about something, or he's like, well, he texts, so you better respond quickly. And I'm like, it's fine. Like, and I mean, he wasn't doing anything wrong. I just mean, like it just started spilling over into that. And then I'm like, why the fuck are we here? Like, why are we on vacation? Because this is bullshit and like this isn't fun anymore. Um,
Yeah, this whole vacation was
a
shit, to be
blur.
honest.
And it was just every day. It was just the whole 2 weeks was a roller coaster of like really fucking high and really fucking low. Also, Daniel would do gummies. He would smoke pot aggressively. And
It wasn't
usually
just a hit. Like we've got
no.
friends that would hit a vape every once in a while, but like he would go hard on
That
these
was the other
vapes.
thing. Like that night before he went missing, he texted us and he was like, "Well, I took 3 mushroom gummies before leaving," and I'm like, "What? What do you mean? Like have you ever taken these before?" And he's like, "No," and I'm like, "Well, okay, well, you can't be doing that when you have nobody around."
And you're taking care of our babies.
Right, and you've been out drinking in Midtown, and like it was just red flag after red flag after red flag the whole time we're gone. But also, what can I do? I'm in the middle of the ocean.
He's taking care of our dogs.
I mean,
He's in our apartment.
all I can do is just go off what he's telling me. And so then one day this is the anniversary of my mom's death, and he was just like being really mean and all this stuff. And I'm just like, well, I've got to let this go by because he's going through a lot. And like, it was just every day. It was something. I'm sorry, I'm just rambling on at this point. It was just literally every day. And so then, um, every day it was I didn't go to work again today. Or then it was like I would message him like, "Hey, I noticed like the alarm's not set. You're still like it doesn't look like you've left. Are you okay?" And he'd be like, "Oh, they didn't need me today either." And I'm like, "Okay, well, this is kind of weird." So at this point,
Well, also, I just thought about this to go back a little bit. The day that he was sick, we were on an island. I forget which island we were on. And I asked him if he had medication or something to help with the nausea or whatever. And he was like, no. He was like, I might walk down to Walgreens because it was just like literally less than a block away from the apartment. And I was like, okay, it's fine. And then I messaged him later. I was like, hey, did you ever go get it? And he was like, no, I was just too weak. And then after all of this, and I was reviewing camera footage for stuff that we'll get into later, and there's a picture of him because we had a pet cam on the dog's crate, and he had a QT cup in his hand the same night that he said he was too weak to go down to get medication. Um, and QT is next to Walgreens. So I'm not sure if he was ever even sick, to be quite honest.
yeah, the lies were definitely
They're very prominent while we were gone.
very. But once again, it's like, okay, well, what can I do? Because
And we couldn't pull up the cameras, or we didn't. We could, but we didn't like pay attention to the cameras while we were gone. Well, I say cameras. There was just the camera on the dog's crate.
and there was a lot of times where he would just be like, "You don't trust me," and I'm like, "Okay, well, I nobody said that. I have no reason not to trust you because at the time I didn't."
We didn't.
And then I'm just like, okay, he's ever thinking, it's the anniversary of his mom's death, like all the things. So, anyways, okay, so then the cruise is over and we are on our way to Key Biscayne. At this point, before we left, he had already known that this trip was for him, especially like at the end piece was for him. And he was just like, I don't want you to talk about that. I don't even want you to bring up Key Biscayne because I don't want to hear about it. Okay, well, it's not my fault that you couldn't go. And like, I get, and I would tell him, like, your feelings are super valid. I get it. I don't know how I would feel. But like, do you want me to message you while I'm there? Do you want me to not? Like if you message me while I'm at a resort in Key Biscayne at the Ritz Carlton and say, what are you doing? What am I supposed to say? Like,
There's
because I would be like, oh, we're at the pool. And he'd be like, what are you doing? I'm like, having a couple drinks, laying in the sun. Oh, you're just rubbing it in. You're there and I'm not.
no.
No,
You
I'm
asked what
just
we were doing,
responding. Like,
because if you didn't respond, it'd be a whole nother thing.
right. So, when we're there, it's just so then like that happened at the pool that day. That night, he was just like, I can't wait for y'all to come home. This is gonna be amazing. We're gonna get back together. And
This was our last night of vacation.
like, I love y'all. Yada yada yada. He was like, y'all looked amazing. Going to dinner. Yak the yak. And I'm like, oh, thank you. And like, we've been drinking at the pool most of the day
Yeah.
because we're kind of miserable at this point, and we're like, we don't
Completely
know what we're
miserable.
going home to. Like, I'm just confused. I feel like I didn't get to relax at all on my 2 weeks off from work while I'm spending thousands of dollars to be on vacation to just feel like a piece of shit. But I was like, Ben, you're being dramatic. Everything's fine. Everything's gonna be fine. Like, we just need to get over this hurdle. So
We had a really nice dinner, like
yeah,
seafood tower, all the things.
we did.
And then we got in an argument because Ben didn't respond, and I called him
He
out,
was,
and
and Daniel was mad,
Daniel was mad,
and
and like it was not pretty, to be quite honest. Like,
It wasn't, and we'd been drinking most of the day. So,
yeah,
I mean, that had a big part of it. And once again, it was like everything was unraveling. Like, I put this off for 2 weeks, but now like we have to go home to this tomorrow, and like I don't know what to do. But like I love him, so like I don't want to go anywhere. But like I was just super stressed in that moment.
yeah. I think
Um,
we both were. Maybe all three of us. I'm not sure.
and so I'd gone walking on the beach, and I put myself in airplane mode because I was like, nobody's gonna bother me. I'm sick of this. I've done everything y'all have wanted. Like I'm done. Like I need a minute. Um, and Dustin came and found me, and then we argued on the beach. And I took myself in airplane mode, and I kind of told Daniel what was going on. I was like, I'm sorry. I put myself in airplane mode, and I was like, that was very inconsiderate. If you were trying to know if I'm okay, and I'm just sorry. I was like, there's a lot going on. And he was just like, that, it's okay. He was like, there's just a lot for us to talk about when you'll come back, but I love you. And he was like, I just can't wait for all of us to be together again.
And this was probably at like 12:30 at this point. So like the
Yeah.
night before we leave.
And so we're back in the room packing our suitcases and weighing them for the 1,000th fucking time, all 62 of them.
There weren't that many, but it's not far off.
And we're drinking all the extra booze that we can't take on the plane because, we spent a lot of money on it.
Right.
So basically, I'm like down in Kendall Jackson as I'm packing the suitcase. I'm like sitting on it trying to get it to close. And I texted him. I was just like, I'm sorry for everything. I was like, but I love you. And I can't wait to be home and us talk about everything. And he was like, I love you too. And then before I went to bed, I was like, I'm sorry again. I was like, that was a lot. And I love you. And then, so we go to bed. So next
We
morning,
think everything is okay. I
yeah,
mean, it wasn't great. We had things we needed to talk about when we got
sure.
home, which understandable because we had things we needed to talk about with him too because
Yeah,
you literally made us miserable this entire trip.
and I feel like we had some clarity of things that were going on just to be like, okay, this can't continue. But I mean, there were things that I could change too. I'm not saying I'm perfect at all. Um, so once again, it was just to sit down and have that whole
Can we
talk.
just make a note of that it's actually recorded? Did, can you just repeat it one more time just in case?
No, you can rewind it and re-listen.
Wow.
I only said it once. Okay, so the next morning I wake up and I reach my phone for the first thing to do, like I've done every morning for the past 2 weeks, and that's to text Daniel good morning. And when I text him, it's green. And I'm
And right
like,
above that, it says Daniel has stopped sharing his location.
what the fuck? And so I'm like,
So he wakes me up abruptly because y'all know I love to sleep. If you don't know I love to sleep, I love to sleep.
and I'm like, what is going on? And he texts him, same thing. And at this point, it's like 7:30. We fly out at like, I
It was
don't
like
even know,
10 or 11 because we were
10
going to
or
go to
okay.
brunch.
Yeah, we were gonna right
Because at the Ritz, you get brunch.
buffet with
Which was
endless
amazing.
mimosas, which we never got.
We didn't get to do because he fucking, again, wrecked our last day of vacation.
Okay, so I'm just like spiraling and I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. And so like Dustin has a work phone, so Dustin's trying to call him from that phone. He won't answer. We have like a Google Voice number that we just use as like a house number for like all of our like grocery cards and all of that. He won't answer that. So I call from the Ritz and someone answers, but he won't speak. And so I'm just like telling him I love him, and I'm like begging and pleading for him just to talk to me and tell me what's going on. And the phone call's hung up, and then when I call back, it just goes to voicemail.
So I pulled up the the camera that's in the dog's room at this point, and it was like 6. I don't remember the exact time. Some between 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning. So in my desk drawer, we have our like all of our documents and things because it's a fire safe, lockable, all the things. It's like his birth certificate, social security card. I mean, all of our things were in there. And I saw him go in there and get that, but then the camera adjusts and I never see anything else.
So then at this point, we're like super spiraling, and we're like, I don't even know what to do. We're in Miami. He's in Atlanta. Once again, I don't like, I mean, I have friends, but I don't have like besties here that I can call and be like, hey, girl, this is going on. Because, like, once again, Daniel really didn't know many of our friends because he
He
really didn't,
refused to.
right. He really didn't want us to be around him. And, like, I didn't really see it in that moment. I just thought in that moment, like, oh, he just wants to spend time with us by himself. And, like, I get it, like, whatever. But then we were spiraling heavily and we're just like trying to get everything together. And I'm talking on the camera because I'm just naive and think that he's still in the apartment and just doesn't want to speak. And I'm like, maybe he turned his airplane mode on. Like, I don't know. Um,
Well, and at this point, we had realized that the dogs were let out at like 4:30, 5 o'clock the night before. This
right,
was 6 to 7 the next morning when he apparently left. We knew
right,
we weren't going to be home. Like our flight landed back in Atlanta at like 4:30. So y'all know Atlanta traffic. We weren't getting home before 6 o'clock.
right. So I'm like,
So this is 24 hours that our dogs
I'm
would have been
nauseous
locked
at this
up,
point
or more than
because,
24 hours, honestly, because I think it
yeah,
was like 4:30 or 5 when he let them out the night before. So
yeah.
more than 24 hours that our dogs have been locked up.
So I'm like nauseous at this point. It's time to leave for the airport. We never made it to breakfast. I don't even know what's going on. We found out later Dustin left his phone in the Ritz.
Because I was in panic
Um,
mode trying. I don't know. Our flight wasn't going to leave earlier because we got to the airport earlier, but like I didn't know what else to do. I was in panic mode. I just needed to get home, and so scrambling, I left my work phone at the hotel, and we just went straight to the airport.
so then we're like in the Delta Lounge looking like crazy people because we're
We're still
just
trying to call and text and
all the things. And I'm like,
Facebook, and
so I had to call like one of my best friends, and I'm just like, girl, I'm drinking mimosa in the Delta Lounge in Miami because my life is like spiraling and I have no idea what's going on. Um, and then she's like searching him on Facebook and she's like, do you not see the stuff that's coming up for him on Facebook? Because like he's done this to people before.
we were like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like Ben did a full ass background check. Ben searched all the socials. Like y'all, if y'all don't know, Ben is he's a he's got the find out shitologist
Right. I
degree
can be
because he will
a
find some shit
PI for
out.
sure. Yeah. I mean, like we'll have friends that be like, I've looked this up a million times. I can't find blah, blah, blah. And like 30
Give Ben
seconds
five
later, I'm like,
minutes.
hey, this was his ex wife and these are his kids' names. And they're like, what did you do? And I'm like, don't worry about it. Maybe I've just watched too much Catfish. I don't know. But I did
But
do a
Ben did all
background check
these
on him
things.
and nothing came back. Like everything looked golden.
There was nothing else on social media. Nothing.
Oh, I just remembered an important piece of the puzzle. Okay, so I told you that I messaged his friend while we were gone
Oh yes.
and she didn't respond for a couple of days. So one day we're just FaceTiming Daniel. I'm laying in a hammock outside. Dustin's sitting there next to me. We're on the cruise, and he's talking, and I was like, "Hey,"
Remember
I
that
was
night when
like,
you went missing?
"Right." I was like, "Well, I messaged your friend." He was like, "Why would you do that?" I'm like, "Well, she's the only person I know that you know, so like, she has your location." He's like, "Well, why did you message her?" And I'm like, "Well, because she's your friend, okay."
And we were
And
concerned about you.
right, I was like, "I thought you were dead in a ditch outside the MARTA," and he was like, okay. And I was like, well, she finally responded back, but she said that you ghosted her since you moved to Georgia. But that's weird because you tell me all the time that you spoke to her, but I guess you haven't. So, like, I don't, it's weird. Like, have you ghosted her? And he was like, what do you mean? I'm messaging her right now. And he's like angry. Like, his whole demeanor has changed. Like, it was like shocking a little bit. And he was just like, I'm messaging her now. He was like, that's not true. She lied to you. And I'm like, huh, okay. Until I was like, I just kind of left it like, I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to bring it up again, but like, I definitely kept it in the back of my mind because like, this is weird. So we're in Miami at the Delta Lounge, and I pulled up my phone and I messaged her and I said, hey, um, just so you know, you said he ghosted you and now he's ghosted us. I was like, he skipped town. Like, I don't know what's going on. And she messaged me back and said, that's funny. He didn't mention that to me.
But y'all didn't talk.
And that's when I was like, abort mission. Like, this is insane. Like, I can't, like, I can't trust anybody. Like, this is like, so not only was I already spiraling in the Delta Lounge, now I'm like basically on the floor at this point. And I'm like, I just needed the mimosa because I don't even know
Well, and
what's going on.
It was crazy because like we were spiraling, and this sweet little older gentleman came in who was obviously gay. He came up to us and he was like, "Hey, are y'all traveling? You just get back from a cruise?" He's like, "We get a lot of cruisers back in here." Like, he was super nice and trying to like doing a great job.
Like my eyes are so puffy I can hardly see out of them.
Right. And like we look like fucking crazy
Haggard.
people because like
Haggard.
we're crying, we're upset, like we're mad, like we don't know
still can't
what.
find Dustin's phone.
Yeah, still don't know. I think that's actually when I realized that I didn't have it, was
Right.
in the Delta Lounge, and I was like, maybe I put it in the suitcase.
So then we're like unpacking the suitcase. This man's trying to tell us his life story.
Because
super nice.
Super nice. His husband is a flight attendant for Delta.
They won a Virgin cruise.
Right. He was
during
so
COVID.
nice. So nice. But
literally the nicest human being. Like, it was like God sent us an angel in that moment to get our mind off of it. But
I couldn't, my mind was not receiving it.
And at this point, like, our flight is about to board. First off, we didn't want to be in the Delta Lounge. We were supposed to be in the Centurion Lounge. We couldn't find it because
I was disheveled.
It was just, I know these are first world problems of what lounge we were supposed to be in, but
it was our vacation, and we wanted.
And we had planned around that lounge. I paid a lot of money for that Amex.
Right, and that Centurion Lounge, at least in Atlanta, was very nice. So I wanted to experience Miami, but that was ruined. Thank you, Richard Daniel Caholan.
Okay, so then we get on the plane and we're still just like a blubbering mess because we just don't know. And then to know that like we have to turn our phones off, we don't know what's going on with our dogs. All we can do is turn the camera on,
which is not even facing their crate at this point,
and just hear them whine and cry. And we're just like crying to them, telling them we're going to be home soon, but that's a lie because we're not. So then we land in Atlanta. We turn our phones on. Nothing's happened. We still know nothing. So then we have to catch an Uber home, which is an hour. So then like I'm very, very numb.
And the Uber driver like missed the exit like 3 times. Correct. Which didn't add to it because like I just need to be home.
So we get home and we can see the door's not been opened in, however many hours.
12 hours at this point.
And so also when he left the door unlocked.
Yeah, he never locked the door.
So luckily we could lock it from a distance on the app. So we go in, and he had also told us that he spent one whole day cleaning the apartment because he knew that we liked everything cleaned and tidy, and that way when we got home, we could all spend time together.
Right.
We walk into a fucking disaster zone.
Fucking
the dishwasher door's open, the oven door's open. There's food residue and boxes of food and takeout bags that we know he ate a week ago.
Yeah, like he told us the times that he ate this food, like McDonald's, Hot Pockets, the Tostina pizza rolls. Like the McDonald's bag is still sitting on the cabinet. Yeah. The Tostino's pizza roll tinfoil is still sitting on top of the stove.
Dirty dishes in the sink.
Then we walk into the bedroom.
So we check on the dogs, and they're in the house, but like, okay.
We let them out.
Our bedroom door is closed. So I open up the door, and it looks like a fucking hoarder has been there on a binge for weeks.
The TV was left on. There's Tate's cookies. There's to-go boxes in the bed. We don't eat in the bed.
There's Q-tips all over the apartment. I don't know why. I have no idea. They were literally in the sofa. They're in the bed. They're everywhere. There's crushed up food.
There's silverware. Oh my God.
There were clothes everywhere that he just didn't want anymore. What he did was he left shitty clothes that he had brought here. And like, I'm not being ugly. I mean, like literally like worn out clothes that like he never really wore while he was here. He left those in place of our clothing items that he stole.
Yeah, he stole. Once we took care of the dogs, that's when we started discovering that things were missing because our dressers were completely ransacked. The closets were ransacked. We found out that 2 designer bags were stolen, duffel bags.
And they were bags, like one of them was a bag that he knew was very important to me. It was when I got my job that I have now. And it was a big purchase, and it was like I made it. Like
he had a big promotion, and he deserved to treat himself because he doesn't treat himself very often.
I still wrap this bag in all of the material that it came in, like all the plastic.
It was in a dust bag. It had the dust bag it came with. It was in another dust bag.
I stuffed it every time to make sure it kept its shape.
Right, all the things.
And he knew that was an important bag to me. Well, he stole it. He stole that other bag. He left shoes that he didn't want in place of my shoes that he took.
took other clothing items.
And just the whole apartment was trashed. I mean, not like the walls and things weren't physically damaged, but like our things were damaged, and he took a lot of things.
Yeah. And there's still things that we found, like when we moved recently, that he damaged, and we just didn't realize it because it wasn't things that we needed to. Like there's a big gash in the top of our dresser that we didn't realize until we moved. And we have a sound machine that sits on top of the dresser. And I mean, you don't move a sound machine, but it was in that place. And I don't know what happened, but when we moved, we unplugged the sound machine, and Ben was like, "What happened to the top of the dresser?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he was like, "There's a huge gash in the top of the dresser."
And like, we're at the age in life where these, like, there was a time where we just had IKEA furniture, and I'm not discrediting IKEA furniture at all.
No,
I don't mean
we
that.
still have IKEA
We still have
pieces.
some pieces, but I mean, like, it was at a point in time where we like mid-century modern furniture, so like we saved up to replace some IKEA pieces that weren't in great shape anymore with West Elm pieces that we had our eye on, that was basically like on our Pinterest board or whatever you want to say. So like, to damage things like that, that's a big fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
I've worked really hard for that. I've let you into this life. I've shared this life with you. I wanted to build this life with you, and then you just shit all over it. And so basically, to rewind, that moment that he hugged me in the bed and said, "What if I never see you again?" That was the last time I ever saw him, and it probably will be the last time that I ever see him. So it makes me wonder, in that moment, did you know, was this all part of your plan?
Right. Especially now knowing that this is not the first time this has happened.
So basically, we had to file a police report and all the things, and so that was just a whole nother level of craziness. I mean, that's just something I never thought that I would have to do with someone who I still loved very much in that moment when I'm at, the police station. And it was just a real wild ride. So to back up, that was March 18th was the day that we came home on the cruise. So later we found out by piecing some puzzle pieces together that he had skipped town. But in that moment where we're filing the police report and all the things, we had to go to our apartment complex to be like, hey, he still has access to these door locks, and he still has access to, the thermostats and all the things, because he still was fucking with the thermostat.
Yeah, like he would turn the heat up to like 85 degrees. It's March. First off, we don't keep the heat at 85.
Right. And like,
and it would
unlock the
show
door.
like who adjusted it, and it would be under his account.
And the police, or in the apartment complex, was like, well, sorry, we can't do anything about it. Like, he would have to come here and sign that he doesn't want to be on your lease anymore.
Which, when he moved here and we asked for him to get access to the building, I know we should read all the documents, and this is even more of a testament that you should read all the documents. But we were asking for him to have access to the building, for him to receive mail, for him to receive packages and all the things. Like, oh yeah, you can just sign this addendum. It'll give him access to it. Well, after all this happened, we found out that was an addendum to the lease, and that was him being added to the lease.
Which we had no knowledge of.
That was not explained
to me. That was not how
it
was explained to us. And then you're just sent over a little document online to sign. Trust me, I know now to definitely read all the things. But when, you have a manager and multiple staff telling you this is what it is.
And that's the only way, is to have this addendum signed.
So that's what we did.
That's what we did because we loved you.
And keep in mind, this was our apartment. This was us like starting over. And not like in a bad way. This was just us starting over. This was a starting, I don't want to say starting over. That sounds wrong. This was us starting a new life, a new chapter.
Right, a new chapter.
Charlotte was closed. This was Atlanta. This was supposed to be an apartment that we were in for quite a few years until we found what part of town we wanted to buy in. That was the plan.
So the only options after all this happened, and we went to the leasing office and said, hey, this is what happened. He stole from us. We filed a police report. He's trashed the apartment. He's obviously no longer here. We need to have his access removed because he's still messing with the thermostat, still messing with the door lock. We don't know where he is. We're not sure what he's capable of. We just know that our apartment is trashed.
It was just, we can't do anything about it.
Yeah, their first question was, well, is there any damage to the apartment? I was like, not anything that we can't fix, but I need his access removed. And they said, well, let us look into it. Okay, fine. So we waited 2 days, nothing. I go back down there and say, okay, I need resolution to this. They said the only thing you can do is to file a temporary protective order. So I look into that. That's for domestic abuse. And there's no proof of domestic abuse. There was no domestic abuse. So like I still called the courthouse, the police station, and asked like, this is what my apartment complex said. They're like, yeah, no, that this doesn't qualify for that. We can't issue that type of protective order if that's what they need. So I tell the apartment complex this. They're like, well, there's nothing else we can do. So we knew that at this point, because our lease was up July 10th, and we had to give a 45-day notice. So we were very, very close to this like date that we needed to give them notice. And so I told them that I was like, look, we're set to resign our lease, like, but he can't be on that. We need his access removed, all the things. Their only option was, you can move.
You can move or you can pay month to month. And month to month, it was going to go up over $1,000.
Right. Or they did say we could re-sign the lease, but his name would have to be on it because he was because of the addendum, he was on the lease.
So therefore, to resign, he would have to sign.
Right.
But we don't know where the fuck he is, and he won't respond to anybody because he's blocked us.
And his email address has been deactivated because we tried that too. Like, there's no way of getting him to sign this lease. So there was, even if we wanted to re-sign with his name still on it, we couldn't because the third party wouldn't have been signed. And he wasn't going to re-sign it anyways because he obviously left. So we couldn't file the protective order because there was no domestic abuse. So that left us with month to month, which was going to be $1,000 more. We were already paying more than we really wanted to pay for this apartment.
And we're having to cover all of the expenses that we paid for him. He was going to pay us back on. Right. And now we're having to cover all of the expenses for all of the things that were stolen while we were out of town.
Right. And in addition to contacting lawyers and getting legal advice, like it's expensive.
Also, we're in a phone contract for him. And then we found out that he took that phone and tried to sell it in another state where I guess he now resides. And when you sell a phone that has been
reported stolen,
then it notifies the police. So then we found out all of that. And I mean, yeah, we were able to get the phone back, but now we're stuck in this contract for, 2 years.
Paying on this phone
for something. And like when he got that phone, he's never had a new phone and nobody's ever done this for him. And like, I mean, he would make you feel like you were $1 million fucking bucks.
He did a damn good job at that.
That's a really good feeling. Like, I mean, I nobody doesn't not want that feeling. So like, you may be listening to this right now and you may be thinking that we're really fucking stupid. But when you feel that and you have that love for somebody and you feel that love from somebody, why would you second guess it, I guess? I don't know.
Yeah, so we are still paying on this phone plan with the phone.
And for months, we've not been able to go anywhere. Like, we literally would go to the wine bar and things that were extremely close because
we could get there quickly.
To buy when you get home,
we had an alarm.
We had an alarm installed. We had all of our cameras upgraded. We bought all the things to put under the door locks and put in the door locks. Anything that Amazon would sell, I had primed immediately from the Delta Lounge in Miami,
so that we could
to feel semi-safe.
Right, like it was the whole kickstand under the doorknob, so that because he still had access to the keypad. So like if he was still in town and he could come back in, like he had full access to the building, full access to the apartment. Yeah. So we had to buy like the kickstand to go under the door. We had an alarm installed. We had upgraded cameras added. Like, again, other expenses that
we weren't expecting.
Nobody wants to pay for.
Because we still had to pay for his part of the cruise.
Right.
and all the excursions and things that we couldn't cancel because it was too late for him.
Right.
For then him to rob us and trash us and all the things and neglect the dogs.
Like, we calculated everything, and it was close to $7,000
of
what
just
he's
stolen.
That's
things.
just stolen items. That's not including the however many months of rent, phone bills,
all
food, drinks, alcohol, other things that we supplied. Like, every other expense that's day-to-day living, we covered every fucking bit of it.
Yeah. And like when we would go out, I will drink the special usually.
Right. A beer. And
unless
I've gotten
I'm
better
celebrating
with that.
something, then I mean I'll do me. But like usually I will just grab the beer or whatever's on special. No, he wants a
double tequila Sprite or double tequila
and like multiple of them, not like a drink. And then it's like, oh, that's on mid-step. Oh, okay, cool. Thanks.
But he was going to pay us back.
Right. And I mean, I guess that's my fault for being like, okay. But then when he's like, don't worry, like, once again, keep tab of this because I'm.
And then he made the plan of like when we got back, he wanted to sit down and have the conversation.
Right. We got back on like a Monday or something. I don't even know.
Because it was, we got back on a Monday, I think.
And he
was off on Tuesday, Wednesday, and we were going to sit down and have the conversation. Yeah,
because he had told us that he had gotten off on Tuesday, Wednesday, so we could spend time together.
Right.
And he was like, I really would like for y'all, because we were off on Tuesday.
Yes.
And he was like, I'd like for y'all to take off on Wednesday so we can sit down and talk about bills and all the things. He was like, Tuesday, I just want us to get caught up, spend time together, and Wednesday.
Right. Wednesday can be like a business meeting, if you will.
So once again, effort, green flag. Okay. Right. I mean, yeah, things are rocky, but I mean, that's effort.
And like
you're going through a lot.
The day before we got back, like it wasn't early on. Like, so we still thought there was hope for this, I guess. And like he was still planning on being here when we got back.
Yeah, and then of course, you know, it's killing you inside, and we were a super wreck for, you know, a while, and then everywhere we go, all of our friends know of us with Daniel. So that's like, how's Daniel? How's his new job? You know what, Sharon? I don't fucking know. I mean, but I mean, you can't say that. So you're like, actually, I'm not really sure. Daniel's not in the picture anymore, and then it's like, oh my god, but y'all were so happy. Yep, I thought so too.
We were. And then we have to go into the whole spiel of what happened. And
right. So it was like for days and days and days and days and days and weeks and months. Every time you thought you were done telling the story, it was like, oh, let me tell you again.
Right.
Or then it was like following up on it, which I appreciate our friends wanting to follow up on. Like, I get it. And there were times that I did want to talk about it, but then there are times that don't. And that's why we haven't recorded this for so long. We've just brushed it off because this is really hard to talk about and to be able. And I mean, we tried a couple times and it didn't turn out so well.
And it's still, I don't know that it's turning out well because it's been all over the place, but it is what it is. I do think that there's been other times with friends that didn't know Daniel, but they could tell something was off, and then we would have to be like, okay, well, let me tell you what's actually going on.
Right. It was like when the bar closed and it was like all just our core group. Then it's like, okay, well, this is actually what's been going on.
Right.
And all of that to say, when I was talking about people asking questions and all that, I greatly appreciate it. And like our friends that we've made here, I don't know what we would have done without them.
No, they've been a fucking lifesaver. And I mean that. And I know some of you are listening.
Thank you, because it was really, really hard.
And I love every single one of you.
And then there were friends that we made through all of it that had no clue. And that was another lifesaver because we didn't have to talk about it until we wanted to. So that was also just like God puts people in your life for a reason. And at the time that you need them, I'm not really sure why Daniel was put into my life. And I feel like I struggle with that because most exes, it's like, okay, well, like they helped me with this or they helped do this or that, or like I don't really know with Daniel. I do know with my friends that I've made in Atlanta since living here. I definitely know why you were put into my life, and I appreciate you greatly. And I honestly don't know what I'd do without you.
100%. Or should I say 1,000%? Because I know she's listening too.
What would you say that changed in you since all of this?
It's not a positive thing, but it's the lack of trust in people just in general.
It's scary.
It's very scary because, like, I love this man. Like, he was somebody that, like, brightened our life, like, together. Like, he just, like we said in the very beginning, like, it was just easy. And the fact that you fucked us over this much, like, I don't know how to trust anybody anymore. And that sucks.
Yeah.
Friends or otherwise, like, I'm not just talking in a romantic situation, like, just meeting new people. Like, what do I believe?
It's really hard, especially when you're like out with friends and their friends are there, and then people are honestly just trying to get to know you. But I'm like, how can I tell you things? Because, like, why do you want to know this information?
Right.
And, like, probably 98% of the time, they're honestly just good human beings. But also, I thought I was dating a really good human being.
And that turned out to be a train wreck.
Right. So I don't, like, that's just where I struggle of, like, I'm not really sure why he was in my life or, like, what I really learned through all of it. Sometimes I think maybe it was so I would be, like, a little, I like to think that when I date people, like, I kind of carry a little piece of them on with me. I don't really know what piece of him I would want to carry on with me. Sometimes I think maybe it would just be that he was, like, pretty spontaneous. And I struggle with that. That's really the only thing I can come up with.
That's fair.
And so I try and focus on that. But it's hard when the bad outweighs the good a lot. But then it's also hard because there are still days that I wake up and I wish he was still here. Which is really fucked up.
No, I get it.
Or I just want to know that he's okay. And that he's all right. And, like, that he's doing all the things and just trying to do better for himself.
But I'm afraid that it's never going to happen. Well, it's always out for to better himself, but
right.
But who also knows who is going to be in the destruction in the meantime? And unfortunately, we were two of those people.
Unfortunately, since all of this, I mean, he moved on very, very quickly.
Very quickly.
I mean, just because he blocked us, he didn't block our friends.
Right.
And he was already living with somebody else, probably. Well, we at least know he was dating somebody else. Also, through all of this, when I was in the Delta Lounge talking to my friend, and she's Facebooking, talking about, do you know this? And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? We found an ex that he did all of this to. So, you know, we connected with that person and had a very, very, very long call.
Very long call.
Very. And was comparing notes. And I mean, it's really like a Lifetime movie. Like, I love watching a Lifetime movie, or I love, like, listening to, like, weird podcasts.
We didn't want to be the ones living that or recording that podcast.
You know, okay, see, I agree with you 100%. I do think that maybe another piece of that is the whole reason we've been told to do a podcast for years. The whole reason that we kind of started it, though, was because we kind of wanted to tell this story, and we really didn't know how else to get it out because we wanted to be able to tell it on our terms and in our time.
Yes.
So maybe that's another good thing is that, but, like, we thought that it would just be like a one-time deal, like,
yeah, we thought this would be like a 4-week series, and
just to be like, hey, this is what you shouldn't do. Let this be a lesson to you.
Yeah. But then other people are like, no, we like living through y'all in all aspects of life. Like, that doesn't have to be your entire podcast story.
And we were like, oh, so you like us.
So this is what, episode 8, I think. So y'all have listened up to us to this point. I'm not sure where we go from here, because I know this has been a huge build up for the story, and it's been extremely long. But we are going to do our best.
But and all the good news is we've been able to close that chapter.
Yes, this chapter is now officially closed by the end of this podcast. And I will say that, like, that's the reason why we moved. I mean, the building that we were in had also gone downhill severely.
Drastically. I mean, it was very bad.
It was the new management company. Like, we had moved in, and 2 months after we moved in, it was bought out, and it started going downhill rather quickly. And by the time we actually were leaving, like, it was kind of a blessing. Like, we had not planned emotionally, financially, physically, any kind of planning to actually move this quickly after moving from Charlotte to Atlanta, because that was already a lot. And then to move again in 7 months is not what we had planned. But I guess it's a good thing that our lease was only for 7 months. And after we turned in those keys and left that building for the last time, I don't think either of us realized how much stress and anxiety we had.
Correct.
From then walking into our new place and knowing that, like, we don't have to barricade the door anymore.
For sure. And like, also, it's been really hard because during all this time, my mom was in and out of the hospital a lot, and like, I didn't feel safe enough to be able to go and see her and leave our place and leave our dogs, because our dogs were safe. They were okay, but they have a lot of anxiety now because of all this.
Like, when we got home, Cohen had a spot on his nose because he was trying so hard to dig out of his crate.
And for days, like, if we locked him up for any time, it was really, really bad.
And I think that's what kills me the most, is that he treated them the way that he did. He left them locked up for more than 24 hours.
When we did talk to the ex, he'd also neglected and abused his dogs as well.
Yes.
And
like,
that
anybody that disrespects animals can fucking rot in hell.
Yeah, that's a whole nother, like my mom, my entire life has always been like, you can mess with me, but don't mess with my kids. And I'm like that with my dogs, because like, they've done nothing to you. So like,
oh, they loved him. Probably 100%. Like, they loved him and adored him.
Right. 100%. So all that to say, they're okay. We're okay. We got through it. We're on the other side of it.
And I hope that we're better people because of it. I hope, anyways.
I hope so. I don't, like, I don't know. It's kind of a struggle, because I, like, on one hand, you want to shout from the rooftops about all of it so nobody else goes through that. But on the other hand, if someone had come to me during all of that, when you're blinded with love, you don't care what anybody has to say.
No.
You have to learn from your own.
And it sucks, and it's hard, and it's difficult.
Yeah. I will say, you talked about Dirty John earlier, and that was one of his favorite TV shows.
It's very understandable.
He would watch it on repeat, and then he would sit there and he would be like, oh my God, they are so stupid. He was like, how do you think people get away with this? I'm like, fuck, I don't know. Well, I do know.
Now, we were in that situation. We were blinded.
I say that about him coming into my life. I mean, I don't know. I would hope that I made an impact on his life somehow. I think sometimes I struggle because I think there's different versions of Daniel. There's different personalities, I feel like, and the one I fell in love with was really fucking good.
It was amazing.
And that's that moment where I talked about that, like, I wish I could bottle it up, because that's the moment that I realized that I did love him. And that was a full day of him being that person. Like, I'm not saying there were other moments. That's one day that really sticks out in my mind. So I would hope that person really lives in there and that wasn't all just a lie or a front or something.
I have to tell myself that because I refuse to believe anything differently.
Um,
Whether it's true or not, I have to tell myself
yeah.
that was a real person. That was a real emotion.
Well, then I think it goes back to like I said about days that I wish she was still here. There are still days. There was a day last week where I woke up thinking about him, and of course, there's still things that remind me of him because hello, he was in our life for. I mean, we were together for 4 or 5 months, right? Four
Yeah.
months. Anyways, um,
Like almost 6 months.
okay, so I mean that's a long time. Um, so all that to
Especially when
say,
we lived, like, we were together every
yeah, I
moment.
mean the first couple months, I mean he just worked nights. So I mean we literally were together all the time.
And like we had talked well before that. Like,
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I just try and chuck it up to the fact of like, I hope that person's still in there somewhere, and I hope that that person is able to come out and live the life that he deserves. But that's not on me anymore. I did my part, and I tried to help him be his best that he could be. But I also can't take that on as a failure to me because I can't carry that burden. I just have to worry about myself. Um, he was put in my life for a reason, apparently. I'm not really sure what all that was.
yeah, that's the question I'm gonna have if I ever meet the higher power. To be like, why?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's, like I said with exes, like, there's other things that, you know, I don't know. I don't know. And you know what? We're in this new chapter, and hopefully in a couple months, we'll be able to sit down on another episode and be like, you know what? This showed that we're exactly where we need to be. And I mean, I do feel like we're where we need to be.
No, I agree.
I just don't know. Like, they say God only gives you what you can handle. And, like, he must think I'm real
God
strong
damn.
because
Literally. Because, bitch, I can't take much else.
um, so
Any last thoughts? Because I'm ready to wrap this chapter up and get on to something a little more appetizing, if you will.
So there's a quote that I read in Chelsea Handler's newest book that's kind of been it just kind of stuck with me the past few months. I feel like it's pretty fitting for this. Um, it says, "Not everyone is meant to be in your life forever. Some people are only here to get you from one chapter to the next. Sometimes you are the person helping someone get from one chapter to the next. Be grateful for the experience and be graceful when it's over."
So, in full transparency, we were going back and listening to the podcast before we posted it and realized that, yeah, it's a hot mess, but it is what it is. And we're not re recording all of it because we are ready to be done with this chapter. But in re reviewing everything, we realized that there are a couple things that we uh, didn't circle back on. So maybe it's a good thing because we told you to get a notebook out to take notes, and then we forgot to go back and circle back to them. So one of those being that we mentioned earlier that Daniel had told all of his friends about him coming to Atlanta and living his best life and doing all the things and still in contact with them. Well, since all of this, we found out that he never told anybody that he was coming to Atlanta. In fact, he told them that he was doing a bartending gig for Halloween in Fort Lauderdale and that he would be back in the Keys in a couple days. Um, well, he never made it to Fort Lauderdale because he came to Atlanta instead. Another thing that we touched on earlier was that he mentioned that he never had a lease because he was in um, these contract type positions and they supplied housing, all of that. Also, not true. We've also found out since then that he walked out on his lease in the Keys when he came to Atlanta. And that person, I guess, has also been screwed over with dealing with leasing issues and all of that. And one last final thought when a friend of ours found his Facebook page and went back and looked, his tagline on his banner or whatever had been updated to "Catch me if you can." So I just thought that was,
A con artist at its finest.
yes,
Also, there were multiple people that we found out that he worked with at all kinds of jobs that he had borrowed money from, and then he would skip town. So, I mean, it's sad because clearly we weren't the first, and we won't
probably
be the
won't be the
last.
last, unfortunately.
So, I hope that this story can help some people know that it's not just you. I feel like that was a big piece when we found others. I mean, of course, it sucks that it happened to other people, but at least it makes you feel like you're not. I don't. I don't want to say crazy.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think there's a little comfort for all of us in,
Just knowing we're not alone.
yeah, that you're not alone and that you weren't the only person that fell for this and that he's obviously really good at what he is
He,
doing.
he's a charmer.
He is that. So, with that, we'll actually get to the bite of the week now. So, I know this is probably recorded a little bit differently than the first part of it, and it was a complete shit show. So, thanks for hanging in there with us. We probably had another like 20 or 30 minutes recorded after this, but um, we don't really know what that was about because it was all a blur.
I think a lot of it was me talking about the let them theory of a new self-help book that I've been reading, which is really, really good. So we'll just cover that on another
Yeah,
episode.
we'll let that be in your self-help book
Yeah.
conversation. So
stay tuned for that on another day.
On another day, y'all have had enough of us for however long you've been listening to this. So anyways, to that bite of the week.
Okay, so my bite of the week, Dustin said it's going to make his bite of the week, so I'm trying to find something else. So I went to Trader Joe's this past week, which, we love Trader Joe's. And also we found the time to go is on a Saturday night about 8:30 because they want to get the hell out of there.
There's nobody else there.
Right. And so when you go to check out, it's not like hey, who are you sharing this with? Oh, is that your cousin? Oh, how do you know her? Oh, do you share the same name?
Oh, have you had this before? Oh, I love this. I love this to go with that. But like a whole conversation.
No, at 8:39 they bag that shit and get you out. The only bad part
and there's also nobody there.
True. The only bad part is all the flowers are picked over.
A lot of things were picked over.
Yeah. But I did find 2 new things there that I had not had before. One was a hot honey mustard dressing that was in the cold section. 10 out of 10.
It was so good.
Delicious.
Like we've already gone through the bottle, I think.
Yes. It will become a staple in this household. The other thing was patio chips.
Oh,
I don't remember the whole story of them. They just have all the flavors.
Yeah, your sister mentioned them because she found them, which is usually opposite. We usually find things and tell her, but she actually found these and shared them with us. They're like a mixture. I was surprised that they were like ruffle chips or ridges. I guess I can't call them ruffles because that's a Lay's brand, but like the ridges, like a Ruffles chip. Which I was surprised about. I didn't think they would be that. I thought it would be more of like
Usually it's plain, like a kettle chip from there.
Yeah, or not even a kettle chip, like just a thin, regular, plain Lay's potato chip. But they're a combination of, I think it's salt and vinegar, barbecue, and dill pickle, which y'all know I love.
They were tasty. So, of course, we bought a few bags to add to our Trader Joe's.
Y'all, our pantry is ridiculous.
We moved things around this week, so we have one whole shelf that's massive up top just for overflow of Trader Joe's snacks.
Because there's already 2 shelves of other snacks.
Because, there's still all those blue cheese potato chips up there.
Which our friend Wendy tried to find this week at Trader Joe's, and she was like, I can't find them. I guess she bought them all.
And we did.
We did. But also, I think they're just a fall and winter thing, because right now they have like a garlic something. Maybe it's just garlic. Yeah. I'm sure they're delicious.
One thing we found out this week is just because they have Jingle Jangle in December and you buy all of it, it doesn't stay fresh.
That is true, because we opened a pack this week. So I was like, we still have like, I don't know how many tins of it. It's not as good.
You know what? We still gonna eat it though.
Right. But maybe not the popcorn, because the popcorn's the worst. The rest of it's still okay. The popcorn is
the caramel popcorn that's dipped in hot or dark chocolate.
And it's normally good, in December. But now that we're at the end of July.
Well, it's Christmas in July.
But that popcorn is not Christmas in July.
No, it's not. So let this be another lesson. If you take nothing else from this podcast, let that be a lesson. You
Right.
cannot stock up on the jingle jangle.
No.
Leave it there for other people to enjoy while it's fresh.
Yes.
Don't be a hoarder like we are.
Us with our Trader Joe's snacks. My bite of the week was dinner tonight. So friends of ours invited us after our wine tasting at the wine shop to go to this fairly new Italian place. It's only been open like 4 months. It's called Nonna something.
Let me check my story. Nonna Dora.
Dora. I knew it started with a D, but I couldn't remember.
Like the Explorer.
Yeah.
But in Italy.
Right. It was fucking delicious.
It's like the smallest place.
So small. We got there at the perfect time. There were only 4 spots left at the tiny little bar. All the other tables were full. They do have like some decent outside seating, just like on the sidewalk, because it's in like a strip mall.
As hot as Satan's armpit.
Right. So nobody, even there are some people that sat out there and they literally waited for people to get up inside so they could move inside. But she had it at another event as like catering. And she was like, we should go actually try there because the catering was really good. So we had these like, so I'm sure people are familiar with arancini. We had that there, which was phenomenal.
But I had like cheese balls.
But I'm getting to that. Oh, you're right. It did have like a
mozzarella pearls.
Yeah, it had like an actual mozzarella like piece inside of the arancini.
And you know you're at a damn good Italian place when just the marinara is like enough to make you cry.
I think they just call it red sauce for Italians.
Okay, well, this white boy calls it marinara. And literally, like a tear came to my eye. It was so good. Like, just bring me a bowl of it and I'll just eat it with a spoon.
Yes. But they also had something similar. It was cacio-e-pepe, but it was made in the style of an arancini. So it was like made into this little ball and then like lightly fried.
Was it like linguine in it or something? Like it was a noodle.
It was a noodle. It was like a traditional cacio-e-pepe noodle.
Sorry,
like a fettuccine, like a thin fettuccine. But it was like balled up and then lightly breaded and fried
with red sauce. Right. Red sauce on the side.
Right. There you go. That's better. I don't know which I liked. I think I kind of like the cacio-e-pepe better than the arancini.
I'm a big fan of your arancini, dear. But you don't make it for me anymore.
I haven't had a kitchen I wanted to cook in a while.
That's true.
Which we did, like, visually, our last kitchen was pretty, but I fucking hated it.
And every time you did anything, the smoke detector went off in the whole apartment. And then you have to wave. Oh my God, it was
terrible. So
back to good things. Good thoughts.
So this new apartment has a gas range, which I love.
And a beautiful kitchen. That's massive. That like we both can be in and the dogs can be in and like.
Well, we try not to let the dogs be in.
Well, I know, but they venture over into it. And it's not like we're like fighting over each other and screaming or anything.
The only thing that's a little bit different is I haven't used a gas oven in a very long time since I lived in Concord. So that's been a little adjustment. I'm not mad at it. It's just been a little bit of adjustment. Because our last oven was trash. The stove was trash. I didn't want to cook. So I'm excited about this kitchen and can actually cook. So maybe I'll make arancini again. I don't deep fry my arancini though. I will either air fry it or put it in the oven. Because I'm just not having all that grease and plopping it in a vat of grease. So, but anyways, back to other things that we had. So there's a lady sitting at a table against the wall, and they have gnocchi, and it normally comes with a red sauce, but she subbed that for vodka sauce and added chicken.
Here's what happened. I overheard it, and he didn't know what to order. And I was like, well, that lady over there's getting gnocchi with vodka sauce, add chicken. He was like, that's what I'm getting to.
So our server came back. He was cute as fuck, by the way. He came back over. He was like, this is so odd. He was like, she ordered the gnocchi with vodka sauce and chicken, and so did you. I was like, yeah, well, Ben overheard her order that, so I thought it sounded delicious, and I wanted it too. He was like, well, she's best friends with the owner, and she's tried everything on the menu multiple times, so I feel like that's a good person to copy. So,
and it was real fucking good.
It was real fucking good.
Their gnocchi was like
It's the best gnocchi I've ever
insane.
had. Like, I'm not even exaggerating.
Yeah.
Because I don't get gnocchi many places because it's just super chewy. This was light and fluffy, and oh my God. I will say the vodka sauce was phenomenal. But after tasting the red sauce,
The marinara.
your hickory show and tuck it back in. But I don't know. I don't regret my decision, but when we go back, I might try it with the red sauce.
They could put that red sauce with some vodka and a martini, and I would slurp that shit up.
I don't think they have a liquor license. Like, you can get beer and
Well,
wine.
I'll take my own. I'm just kidding.
I don't know that that's allowed either.
Then I'll get red sauce to go.
I can't. This bitch gonna be having me shake a red sauce and some vodka with the mozzarella ball instead of the olive.
Well,
So that's my bite of the week. It was, I don't know, looking at the pictures of the establishment, I was like, eh.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little hole in the wall, but those are usually the best.
They usually are the best. And
I was bummed sitting at the bar when we first got there because, of course, we're with friends. So, like, bar seats don't really make good for conversation. But, like, I love sitting there. And we were able to talk. And we got to be able to watch the kitchen and, like, talk to the
And our server was great, who was, again, was cute as hell. And he was super friendly, very, offered a lot of suggestions. Like, because the little cacio e pepe balls only came with 3, but he was like, there's 4 of y'all. I'll throw in another one. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, it was super friendly. I think they've been open, I think you said, for like 4 months. If they continue at the pace they are, they're going to need a bigger space. Because, like, there was literally 6 tables in there.
Yeah, I think, like, spring and fall, they'll do better with outside. Because they had a lot of outside tables.
Yeah, they did have several outside tables. They weren't great, but they're starting up. I mean, they can upgrade.
I could sit outside for a red sauce martini.
Red sauce.
But they did make up for it because Friday night we went to a restaurant that we've been dying to go to that's new. And it was a giant letdown.
Oh, my God. I don't even want to talk about it because it's not great.
Confab. That's off of Dresden and Brookhaven.
Yes.
Like, I have had dreams about eating here because I follow them on social media. I've been following them since they were going to open.
The space is beautiful.
But it was so loud in there. We were screaming at each other. They brought all of our food out at the same time. The table was super tiny.
Like, I know I'm not a small person, but, like, I was nervous about knocking something off of our neighboring table when I had to get up to go pee.
It just wasn't. And if you saw my picture on my story, you were probably like, those mussels are like drowning in sauce.
And they were.
It was just a bummer.
Yeah.
And like, our food just wasn't great.
Yeah. I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't, for the price, it wasn't great.
No, not at all. It's a lunch spot, but they're not open for lunch. So that's a problem. Like, my steak sandwich was good.
Yeah, your steak sandwich was better than my monkfish. And I love a monkfish, and I was very underwhelmed.
It was like $100, and it just wasn't.
It wasn't.
Now,
worth
we did
$100.
go to Honeysuckle Gelato next door, which was new, and baby, their key lime gelato, that should have been my bite of the week.
It should have been. The banana pudding was also good.
They had a butter pecan that I should have tried, but I'll go back for them.
We did also have the salted caramel brownie. It was not. It belongs at Confab. It was very underwhelming. Like, it tasted mostly like vanilla ice cream. There's no salt. There's no caramel. There's no brownie. Like, they waved it over the vanilla ice cream, but that's not enough for me.
Yeah.
So, all right.
All right. Well, thank you for spending 3 days of your life with us on this podcast.
Literally,
really appreciate it, and appreciate you listening to this hot mess of our life.
But this chapter is now closed.
It's closed. And we're better people on the other side of it.
We are. And I think our love is stronger.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine my life without you.
I agree.
I love you.
Love you more.
And we love all of you.
Yes. Thank you for listening. And thank you for reaching out and supporting us through all of our ups and downs.
Right. So until next time, like, subscribe, follow.
All the things.
Click the little ding-a-ling-a-ling thing on the top. But anyways, thanks
next week will be much lighter.
Yes, we're done with this shit because Chapter is now closed.
Over. Finished.
Goodbye, Richard Daniel Caholen.
See ya. Never.
Never. Bye, y'all. Love you, mean it.